Welcome to the Foul Play YouTube channel. Open mic number 143. Can you believe it? 143. I can't. Anyway, hope everyone's doing okay today. It's been pretty nice here. I'm getting out of more of the winter time and moving more into the you know early spring, heading into summer. Still chilly at night though. That's just the way it is here. So anyway, we're not going to dilly-dally too much. We've got a couple of, if we can get through, and we'll see what we're at our time-wise, because we always break for discussion. Uh, the plan is we're going to read Mark Rohr, Part 1, which he gave a deposition on August 5th, 2005. He also got called back September 22nd, I think it is, 2005. So a little over, about 6 weeks later, Glenn and Kelly called him back for a Part 2 of his deposition. Now, understand that, Mr. Rohr, we'll talk a lot about this a little bit more. His famous words are, "I don't recall." Cherie knows all about that. So I think if you put his two depositions together, I think he said, "I don't recall," approaching 140 times. I think that's right. It was a lot, yeah. So anyway, let's say hello to everyone, and let's get this shindig going. So first up, how you doing, Alice?
Hi everyone in panel. Hi everyone in chat. Nice to see you with us all tonight again. I'm not looking forward to doing Roar because we've done him before, and like you said, the amount of times he says "I don't recall" is unbelievable. I think that's why we started shouting at Cherie, "You need to change your name." It was because of the amount of times. So yeah, not looking to the "I don't recall."
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous actually considering his position, but I'm sure we'll get more into that. So next up, we have Cherie.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Open Mic.
Thanks, Cherie. And then, of course, Sister Rhonda. And I see we got Christine in here too. We'll get to her in a minute. Sister Rhonda.
Hello, hello, hello. It's good to be here. Yeah, none of us look forward to the "I don't recall" thing. It's so redundant and obnoxious and irritating, but unfortunately it is the way he testifies, so we got to do it.
That's right. And then Christina, you got the file I sent you? Okay.
I did. I haven't had a chance to look at it yet, but I did get it. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Hi, everyone in chat. Hi, everyone on the panel. So Mark Rohr, his deposition is one of the reasons why I want the videos, because I want to see how red he can get.
Absolutely. His mannerism, he cannot hold his mannerisms, and that's why I want them too. I'm sure there's others that way as well. So yeah, absolutely. All right, so Alice, if you'll run down the list and say hello to everyone that's joined us so far. Looks like we've got, I don't know, 20 or 30 people in. That if you would do that, please, and I'll get the follow up.
No problem. We have JD. We've got the lovely Dark Side. Rhonda's in chat as well. We have Andy B. Hey Andy B. We've got Colette M. We've got Shandy Elliot. Hi Shandy, great to see you. Rumor has it Katie did it. Hey Katie, nice to see you. We've got Travis. Hello Travis, nice to see you. We've got iced coffee. Hello there, lovely iced coffee. We have wooden pallet, Pete Moss. Hello, Mr. Pete Moss. We've got, let's see, who else have we got? We've got Ronica. Hello, Ronica. Nice to see you. We've got Justine. Hi, Justine. Nice to see you, Justine J. We have West Virginia. Hello. Not seen you for a while, West Virginia. Nice to see you. We've got Cher. Hello, Cher. We've got Sherry Lynn Pontillo. Hello, Sherry Lynn. Nice to see you. Anthony Howells. Hi, Anthony. We've got Charlotte. Hi there. We've got who else have we got? We've got Ronald D. Hi, Ronald D. We've got Clive who's jumped in. Paul. Hi, Paul. We've got Gaz Wall. Hi, Gaz. Nice to see you. We've got Nan's Life. And I think that's us for now, Jack. Hello, everyone, and welcome.
Thank you, Alice. Appreciate you doing that. And yeah, we appreciate everyone joining us. Well, we have read these before, and when we did this the first time, we read both back to back, but we're trying to go in order now because this is the way it happened in real time. So, it creates other questions, I'm sure, for Glenn and Kelly. We can't tell directly, necessarily what they did with, each person's testimony, but I'm sure that it was a cumulative effect. I'm not a lawyer, but I can only imagine it would be because they got these people in a certain order when they do this kind of thing. So anyway, yeah, let's get. I know that Susan's not going to be able to join us. She's got previous engagement. Dr. Silkman, I'm not sure if he's coming or not. He might. He's generally got things to do. It's Monday morning for him, Sunday evening for us, and it's late in the evening for Alice and our European friends. So I'm sure he'll try to join, if either in chat or at least in the live chat. So let me take a look here. So I know that Cherie's busy doing a couple of things behind the scenes right now, but Alice, you and Rhonda feel up reading for a bit. I mean, this one's only, about roughly probably 66 or 67 pages because there's always an index. So
I'm good to go.
I mean, you guys don't have to read the entire thing. It's entirely your call.
Yeah,
I'm good.
Okay, all right. So, Rhonda, you want to read the part? We'll get down here to the lawyers. Alice, would you mind reading Rohr's part?
Right.
Okay. And I will tell you this. This is a brief side note. August 5th, there's only one deposition, and it was Rohr's. I don't know what was going on earlier in the day, but clearly something else was going on because it's the only one that I'm pretty sure that's right. So anyway, let's see who's present. So of course Rohr, and we have some lawyers here. Look like Michael Best and Friedrich. Oh,
Friedrich.
yeah, and then of course Glenn and Kelly, and of course our favorites. These guys, I swear to God, Covelli,
Peanut Gallery.
Yeah, these guys, I swear to God, it's like children. Covelli, Baskin, Amy Doyle, John Mayer. These are the pretty standard, pretty much the same throughout the entire thing. And remember, this John Mayer, he was also on Colburn's team of lawyers. So think about that. This is a new one here. This James in McCambridge, and he was there as personal lawyer for Rohr. And then of course Stephen and Jody. Also keep in mind Jody. She's approaching. This is probably the last one. It had to be the last one she was able to attend because she reported for jail on August 15th, if memory serves. And of course, there's a few exhibits here that we obviously don't have. I still haven't had time. I know that there's one exhibit that's in the Colburn v. Netflix lawsuit, and there are many exhibits that they used in these civil depositions that are included in that exhibit that's in Colburn's lawsuit, because it's a really long exhibit. I need to take the time to go in and split it up into individual reports. Maybe I can try to do that this week. So anyway,
Okay, am I reading for Glenn?
you are, yes, that's correct. You're going to be Mr. Glenn, and Alice is going to be Rohr, and then I know Cherie's busy, but I think we'll be okay for a little while.
I can help, Jack.
Oh, wait, what the
Okay.
heck? There's Neverly.
I know. I hope I can help.
Absolutely. So I'll do Covelli and Bascom, and you can do Amy Doyle and
Let me just get my stuff.
okay. Yeah, you can do Miss Doyle and
Rohr's attorney?
yeah, Rohr's attorney, whatever, McCambridge.
Yeah.
No, we don't have to worry about a judge because it's not that type
Yeah.
of deposition.
It would
Oh,
be
the court reporter, and possibly she speaks in a couple times.
Yeah.
Or he.
this is
Okay.
off topic, but it would be nice to be able to see what exhibits from Colburn's case, like how many that gets us current with the civil suit. Like, there left that we don't have.
If that exhibit is, if memory serves, because I remember reading and going through, these are DOJ reports from Amy Lehman and Deb Strauss when they did the investigation. And if memory serves, that exhibit was close to 500 pages. There's a bunch of those that are in that one exhibit. I need to find it and start splitting each one of
Yeah.
these reports out.
And I need to look through that too, for sure.
Yeah.
See if there's anything that they have that we didn't get.
Oh, there's tons in there that we've never seen. Well, I'd never seen it before because some of those reports are quite long. Anyway, so yeah, thank you so much, Neverly, for doing that. And I'm not sure, Christina, you think you're going to be here pretty much the entire time? I mean, I know you got other things to do, so.
I've got some stuff that I have to do. I'm hoping to be here, but I don't think I should commit to reading.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's okay. So Neverly, if you could also pick up the court reporter, if he says anything.
Yeah, sure.
Jack, I'm just going to read from YouTube, just so you know.
Oh, okay. You didn't. Okay. Well, I put the files on the open mic
Yeah,
page,
I didn't download them.
It's fine. I should be able to keep up. I'll try my best.
It's okay.
Okay, so who am I reading?
You're going to be doing. I'll go back up here. I'll show you. I'm doing Covelli and Bascom. If you could do Amy Doyle, John Meyer, and
Okay.
this McCambridge, and I'll do the reporter. That way you don't have so many.
Okay.
Okay. Alrighty. As we usually do, we'll read for a period and then we'll break. If there's any questions in the live chat, please put them in, and we'll get to them during each break. And remember, the goal for Glenn and Kelly, their entire goal was to pull from information from these people as to about Gregory Allen, of what they knew and when they knew it. That's really what the goal is, because this is I won't say the entire heart of the lawsuit, but it's certainly a big part of it. And of course, they get other information as well. So anyway, all right, Rhonda, you can start. You guys can start on line 14 whenever you're ready.
Okay. Mr. Rohr, good afternoon.
Afternoon.
You received a subpoena in this matter, correct?
I received it via fax from my attorney. Yes,
And that subpoena had an attachment?
it did.
Did you swear him in?
And
Did you
I don't think you swore the witness.
Did you swear the witness?
Did you swear him in? I don't need to swear him.
Okay, from the reporter, sir, would you raise your right hand to be sworn? You solemnly swear that the testimony you will give in this deposition today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Alice, if you said something, I didn't hear it. I'll just go and say the thing that you said I do.
Yeah, I did. I do.
Okay. And the reporter, thank you, sir, and thank you, counsel.
I'm showing you Exhibit 94. Do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
Do you want to take a minute just to look at the other pages? And can you tell me what that is?
This appears to be similar to the portion of the facts I received from my attorney.
Okay. You've produced a number of boxes today when you came into the room, correct?
Yes, I did.
And I'm going to ask you some questions about the contents of those boxes. But let me first invite your attention to the attachment itself. First, sir, is there anything that is named in this attachment that meets these two criteria? First, it's something that's under your control, and second, it's something that was not produced here today.
I'm sorry, if you could repeat that.
Sure.
I'm confused by your question.
The attachment names certain items in numbered paragraphs. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay. I'm asking with respect to anything named in the attachment that is both under your control and not produced here today. For example, a document on which you're asserting a privilege, a document which you've decided on your own isn't relevant.
Everything that is in possession, I have brought with me today on this file.
Okay. And what's the circuit court case number for the Avery case involving Ms. Beertson as the victim? Do you remember?
I do not know. I have to look at the file to make that determination.
Could you do that? I think it's 85 CF 118, but I'm not.
FE.
Yeah, FE, right, in the old days.
It's 85 FE 118.
Okay. And are there any records that relate to 85 FE 118 that exist but were not named in the attachment?
I'm again confused by your question.
Jesus Christ.
Whatever I have in my possession, I've brought with me today from my office.
I gotta take a time out. Jack, is the whole thing highlighted in this bright green?
I'm sorry, it is. I don't remember why I did it. I've had this for forever.
Okay,
I'm
because it's
sorry.
messing with my eyesight. Okay,
I
right.
apologize.
Okay,
I've
that's
probably
okay.
I've probably got a clean copy if you want me to dig it out.
No, 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 no. No, it's fine. Okay, sorry. I just had to ask. That is, you have not limited what you have produced today to the items named in the attachment. I'm not hearing Alice.
I'm gonna assume she said correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that will save us a lot of time. Thank you. Let me go through this, if I may, with you. Paragraph 1, and rather than my reading it aloud, since we've got the attachment marked as an exhibit, let me just ask you whether you have documents that, in your judgment, fit within paragraph 1.
The only thing that I do not have from
Mr. McCambridge, that calls for a yes or a no.
no.
I'm sorry. Sorry. Can you expand your answer? That was funny.
There was a traffic case in our office that was involving a speeding trial with Mr. Avery, and I cannot locate that file. That file has been dispensed off.
Okay, with the exception of that, is everything that you have produced today, is everything that is within paragraph 1 material that you have produced today?
Yes.
Okay. Paragraph 2 reflects our interest in files relating to Gregory Allen. Is there anything that you have produced today that was designed to comply with paragraph 2 of the attachment?
I have complied with paragraph 2 of the attachment.
Okay. Are you able to identify for me as we go through these paragraphs, those documents or boxes or compilations of documents that would comply with with the paragraph?
To the best of my abilities, I will do that.
Hmm. Okay. Would it be easier for you to do that as we go through this, or to wait until we finish going through the list and then you break the boxes apart?
Whatever you prefer.
Well, then let's do it as we're going through it. Let's go back to paragraph 1. Can you tell me where the documents are that are called for by paragraph 1?
We brought with us a total today of 5 boxes.
Mr. McCambridge, actually, I think having done this a few times, it would be simpler to go through the subpoena and then go through the boxes one by one. I think that would expedite things.
And that's fine with me if that's.
Yeah, I offer that option. That's my suggestion.
And do you want to follow your counsel's suggestion if we do it that way?
If that's what's acceptable, yes.
Okay.
I would like to do that.
Okay. Then let's go back to paragraph 3 here on to paragraph 3. Are there documents that you have produced today that you believe fit within paragraph 3?
Yes.
Okay. Are there documents within paragraph 4 that you've produced today that you believe are, I'm sorry, let me withdraw that. Are there documents that you have produced today that fit within paragraph 4 in your judgment?
Yes.
And so I don't have to keep asking the same lengthy question. With respect to paragraph 5,
Yes.
6,
Yes.
7,
Yes.
8,
Yes.
and 9.
Yes.
Okay. So let's make sure that we're in agreement on our terms, okay? You have a couple of times made reference to documents in your possession. And can you tell me what you mean by that?
Meaning in my physical possession that I am aware of in the DA's office.
And do you include possession within the term possession, concepts that are used in the criminal law, such as third-party possession, such as, other forms of possession?
I do not.
Okay. So is what you're telling me that there may be documents that are under your control but not in your possession,
Correct.
and those have not been produced
By whom?
by you today?
That's correct.
Okay. Can you identify for me all documents that relate to any of the paragraphs that are listed in the attachment that are not within your possession but are within your control and have not been produced today?
I guess if there's any police reports by law under section 971.23, any police reports that may be in possession of all of the departments, I technically have control by statute. I haven't contacted them and asked them to come today.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
So the only documents that you would consider to be within your control, but not within your physical possession, but have not been produced today, would be such matters as police reports under 971.231.
Correct.
Okay.
Steve, I'm sorry. I don't think we put the protective order that's in place on this record. And if you would, that would be great.
Sure, we can do it now. The record should reflect that prior to going on the record, the parties, as well as the counsel for the witness, agreed that any documents produced today would be subject to the same protective order that's already in existence and would be treated confidentially.
Thank you.
Now, let's go ahead and break down the boxes on a paragraph by paragraph basis. Mr. Rohr, can you identify the documents that you produced today that you believe would fit within paragraph 1?
Today I brought 5 boxes with me that comply with all paragraphs that are contained in your attachments, sir.
So are you able to respond to the question I asked?
I'm sorry, that's what I understood the question to be.
Okay. My question perhaps wasn't clear. I'm asking you to tell me whether you are able to go into the 5 boxes that you have produced today and identify for me which documents were produced under paragraph 1 to the attachment. And then I'd ask which documents were produced under paragraph 2 and go through the document in that order.
Steve, if I may make a suggestion, he's brought everything he's got. And I think it would be a lot faster for all of us if we just went through them box by box and he can just share everything he's got.
Well, that's
Because if the boxes, I didn't organize them myself and the witness can speak to this, but my sense is they're going to be parts of boxes responsive to different numbers and we could be here until midnight.
that's what I'm asking the witness. And if that's in fact
Right,
what the situation is,
right.
I'll have no problem with that.
Okay.
But I don't think we're there yet. Can you tell me whether or not, in complying with the subpoena and attachment, you made any effort to separate out documents as they related to any given paragraph of the attachment? Or did you instead simply grab everything that you had within your possession or under your control that related to the Avery 85 FE 118?
I did make some separations based on the attachment, yes.
Okay. Can you tell me which ones, which paragraphs of the attachment?
Okay, first of all, it would probably be easier to say from the lesser ones first.
Sure.
If I may do that, you're saying,
Whatever works for you.
all right. For example, I'm complying with number 8. I can pull that out if you want me to keep it separate. Would you like that?
Sure.
All right. It may take a moment here.
Reporter, should we go off the record briefly? All right, off the record for, it looks like about 12 minutes, and we're back on the record, Exhibit 95.
And maybe you can mark this as an exhibit for today. But what's contained in this box and which is entirely separate are, and feel free to direct follow-up questions to Mr. Rohr, are the backgrounds to this, and it's nothing very obscure or very difficult, is that Mr. Rohr sent a file to the Department of Justice, and at one point in this case, the Department of Justice sent the originals back to Mr. Rohr. Included in those materials were materials from the Department of Justice file, which were copied and which still exist in Mr. Rohr's file. I wanted to see them, not knowing what they were, and to see if they were part of the subpoena. I view that they are, so that's what the box is.
Okay.
It's DOJ materials that were inadvertently shipped to Mr. Rohr's office. Since they are still in this file, we're producing them. I'm told by Steve Tinker you already have them all, but that's what they are, okay?
Mr. Rohr, let me just ask whether or not you can ratify what your counsel just said in his description of the box that currently has a post-it saying 1 and 9.
Maybe we could mark it, put an exhibit sticker on it just for clarity of the record.
Okay, that's fine with me. Is that 5?
9-5.
All right, let me repeat. I can't see.
I apologize.
You're okay. All right, let me repeat my question. With respect to what's now been marked as Exhibit 95, are you able to ratify the statement of your counsel?
Able to ratify the statements of my counsel.
Okay. While we were off the record, you were kind enough to go through the boxes and pull out some documents, and I'd like to take a minute just to describe what I believe happened. And if I'm not describing it accurately, please correct me, okay?
Yeah.
I asked you whether or not there were categories of documents that would respond to numbered paragraphs of the attachment. And you indicated that there were in some instances, and in the rest of the instances, documents may be commingled. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And on the table before us, you have laid out certain categories of documents which you believe almost entirely and perhaps entirely relate to a given paragraph of the attachment. Is that correct?
Yes.
It's possible that there may be a small number of documents that do not relate to the numbered paragraph of the attachment and instead relate to a different attachment, or perhaps relate to the numbered paragraph and an additional paragraph of the attachment. By and large, these documents all fit within the categories that you described to me earlier, correct?
Yes, with your clarification.
Okay. And what you've produced are documents that fall into category 1, 3, 8, and 9 as 4 separate groups of documents, correct?
The piles in front of you.
Yes.
Are you referring to? Yes.
Okay. Now you've also indicated that beyond these 3 piles in front of me, there are 3 boxes on the floor behind you that also relate to category 1. Is that correct?
Category 1, I said also, as you qualified earlier, commingling this file.
Okay. So let me clarify that. The 3 boxes that are on the floor then, which I think we should also go ahead and mark with an exhibit sticker, just so we've got it covered. Those documents are primarily category 1, but include other categories as well. Or would you rather just say are intermingled?
In the current statement, is they're intermingled.
Okay, fair enough. Is there anything else that you have produced today that is not in the 4 stacks on the table between you and me, Exhibit 95, the box in front of you, and the 3 boxes on the floor?
What's your question, please?
Is there anything else that you brought with you today in response to the subpoena that is not contained within the description I just made?
This is everything I brought with me. Is in this room. Yes.
Well, then let's take a moment off the record and apply exhibit stickers to the boxes and discuss how we want to handle those stacks.
Okay.
Reporter off the record for looks like 7 minutes. We're back on the record.
Oh gosh, Jack. Oh, you're so funny. Sorry. I downloaded and opened that other one that you sent and it's all green too.
I've got another copy.
It's okay.
No,
I
I got it. I did it intentionally. Just it'll take 2 seconds. Let's just fix this right now.
okay. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm having a hard time.
I'm gonna fix this right now. So give me just 1 second. I'm gonna send
Okay.
you. I'm gonna put it in the open mic text. The copy, the clean copy I just downloaded.
Okay.
To do. Where you
Sorry,
at?
everyone. My eyes are a mess.
Yeah, like I said, I don't remember why I did this so long ago, why I greened it up, or I just marked it because I remember I had another one I was looking at and I used a different highlighter on it. I don't know if I had a headache or I really don't remember. Anyway,
Or
there's the clean
needed a
copy.
headache.
Yeah, no doubt. There's the clean copy in the open mic text, and
Oh, that's so nice.
I'm going to change this one. We're
Okay.
on page 20. Give me just 1 second here. I promise it won't take long.
Okay.
Travis in chat says, I'm guessing they did a second deposition of Mark Rohr because in the first deposition they realised he had documents and records. They are not communicating. So did these 5 boxes ever become public exhibits outside the productive order?
Yeah, that's a good question, Travis. And I've tried to get my hands in other ways on these records. And as far as I know, and what Christina and I have been told, is that Kathleen Zellner has all of the exhibits. So I've made actually a couple attempts to get them, and I've been unsuccessful. So,
So
but like I said, in this one exhibit that's in the Coburn v. Netflix lawsuit, there are a bunch of these reports. They're not necessarily labeled as they're labeled here, but they're still the same report. They're from this investigation that Lehman and Strauss partook in. Okay. Oh, okay, right here. Just a second.
you know who else might have a copy of them? That you've probably thought of this, but I just thought of for Rat.
He might.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what all he got from Zellner, but he might. Would he be willing to part with a copy? I really don't know. What did I say? Page 20? Yeah.
19. 19, line 22.
Okay.
Sorry, everyone in chat.
All right. I'm fixing to turn it back on. There we go.
Okay. Page 19. What line did you say?
22.
Never. Oh, 22. Oh.
Sorry, had the wrong pile up. There we go.
That's okay. Okay, I'll start on 21.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me clarify that. The 3 boxes that are on the floor then, which I think we should also go ahead and mark with an exhibit sticker, just so we've got it covered. Those documents are primarily category 1, but include other categories as well. Or would you rather say they're intermingled?
And that current statement is they're intermingled.
Okay, fair enough. Is there anything else that you have produced today that is not in the 4 stacks on the table between you and me, Exhibit 95, the box in front of you, and the 3 boxes on the floor?
What is your question, please?
Lord, what a dickhole. Is there anything else that you brought with you today in response to the subpoena that is not contained within the description I just made?
This is everything I brought with me. Is in this room, yes.
Well, then let's take a moment off the record and apply exhibit stickers to the boxes and discuss how we want to handle the stacks.
Okay.
Off the record. We did this for looks like 7 minutes. Back on the record.
Okay, Mr. Rohr, let's see if we can recap some of the things that we've got that have gone on while we were off the record. First, we have placed exhibit stickers 96, 97, 98 on the 3 boxes behind you. Is that correct?
Yes.
And those boxes, to reiterate, contain documents that may be responsive to more than one paragraph of the attachment to the subpoena.
Yes.
Okay. We also have on the table between you and me Exhibit 99, which is another box containing 4 rubber banded groups of documents. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And the documents that are within the rubber bands are the documents that were referred to in earlier questioning as being in the piles that were on the table between us, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Let me ask whether you are able to assure counsel in this case that you will be able to maintain the documents contained in Exhibit 95 through 99, consisting of 5 boxes, without allowing anyone to delete anything from the boxes?
That will be done, yes.
Okay. And similarly, without adding anything to the boxes, again, without notifying counsel? And that, oh, sorry, I don't know what I was thinking. Let me start over. Okay, and similarly, without adding anything to the boxes, again, without notifying counsel. And that, let me take that back because I want you to be able to do that with respect to anything that has to come out of the box as well. Can we agree that anything that goes into or out of the box will be the subject of notice to counsel?
Again, I'm confused by your question. Just because there's been parties that have reviewed those files, I don't know what you mean by that. I apologize.
No.
After today, everything stays in the box.
Right. And if, for example, you find it necessary in the exercise of your official duties to remove some of these documents, that's fine with us, so long as we're given notice as to what's been removed and when it will be returned. Similarly, if something is located by you that that you by accident had not been observed earlier and you realize it should be a part of this, if you want to make an addition to the box, you'll let counsel know.
Yes.
Is that acceptable?
Yes.
Okay. Now let me come back. Let me get these boxes off the table for a moment thanks. Let me invite your attention to paragraph 2 of the attachment, what I think of as the Gregory Allen files paragraph. Do I understand from your earlier testimony that there are documents that relate to Mr. Allen that may be spread among the boxes that we've identified as exhibits 95 through 99, but that are not segregated as and identified as Mr. Allen's prosecution files?
That is correct.
Is there a group of files that are identified as Mr. Allen's prosecution files among the documents in boxes 95 through 99?
To the best of my knowledge, no.
Okay. Why is that?
Because our files are stored in various places. Files have been destroyed since this time period.
And are you telling me that your office does not have any original files relating to any cases against Gregory Allen?
To the best of my knowledge, no.
Let's break right there. This to me is really quite amazing. Of course, we're talking about. I know that after a period of time, they can't keep everything. I get it, but
Now, hold on a second.
yeah,
It, he, they have to keep files for cases that go to court. There's no
that's what.
excuse for not having them.
Well, right. In some capacity, if it's a paper file and they're trying to free up space, they could easily make it a digital file, right?
Well,
Or
yeah,
or on
but
microfilm.
right. But to not have any original files on
Yeah,
Gregory Allen is
yeah.
highly sus.
Well, it's very suspicious to me. I don't know about anybody else, but it's really damn strange.
Yeah. Seems a little sketchy.
It does to me, considering. I mean, if he'd have been in trouble, one time, maybe two, and they lost the files, if it happened back in the early '80s and they got lost in the shuffle, it wouldn't be probably a big deal. But this guy had a stack. I'm
Yeah.
talking about a block long. a city block.
Yeah.
So
And
uh,
even I don't know if the DA's office had a role to play, but he was investigated as a favor to another state for a murder. So they
that's
knew
right.
he was bad news. They would
That's,
only a moron would lose files on a guy who is potentially capable of murder, who's running around your county, because you know you're going to deal with him. You're going
yep.
to need.
Yeah, unless you're trying to mitigate the circumstances, because they knew that Glenn and Kelly were after Allen.
The
Okay,
reason they the
I'm
files because it did not support their narrative that they never suspected Gregory Allen.
That's right.
Plus, it would have highlighted the inappropriate relationship between Allen and Vogel.
That's right. And potentially, I doubt it, but that even runs into potentially other people that may be lower on the ladder rungs, I should say. But in any event, as many times as this guy was arrested for this, that, or the other thing, you and I both have read the file, and many others out there have as well. And this guy was a habitual repeat offender.
Yeah.
And speaking of, what I don't recall reading is the case that was brought against Gregory Allen when he broke his pregnant wife's jaw. There is a reference to that case in a police report, but I don't recall reading the actual report or the disposition of that case. Do you?
I think we just covered it like in a general sense because we were talking about many other things. I don't I don't think we did a deep dive into it at all. That was months and months ago, but no, I don't remember either, Christina. I don't think we did. So maybe that's something for a later podcast that we can talk about.
I can talk
Okay.
about him all day.
Yeah, same here. All right. Any questions or comments from the chat that anybody sees that we need to get to? I've tried to keep up the comments, but I'm scrolling, so I can't necessarily watch them. Let me take a quick look here.
Well, Travis said, I'm sure KZ has them, so do Jerry and Dean. The court reporters should as well, but they are covered under the protective order as confidential.
Well, I know that I don't remember I don't know if it was Christina or someone else that had contacted either Glenn or Kelly or whatever the communication was.
I spoke with Stephen Glenn, and he said that he turned everything that he had over to Kathleen.
And he's the one that kept all the exhibits. So that's why I suspected that she had them and might potentially be willing to sell me a copy, but I never heard anything. So
Then Travis
Travis,
said, this is very weird that the deponent is keeping the documents. Typically, they would produce copies of whatever documents they had. So the part about keeping the boxes secure is pretty bizarre.
yeah.
Yeah.
I can't
Okay, line
disagree with
2.
that. Yep, whenever you're ready, y'all continue. I wanted to add in, if either one of you need to take a break, just let me know and we'll switch off.
All right, I got my
Yeah, I
coffee
can
here. I've
jump
got my
in.
water. I'm in good shape for now.
Oh, okay. Line 2.
Okay, that is, you do not possess, your office does not possess such files.
to the best of my knowledge, no.
Okay, when I ask a question with a negative and you answer no, I want to make sure we're not confusing things. Does your office continue to possess original files relating to Gregory Allen?
No.
Paragraph 3 refers to materials which I take it, may be in any of the boxes that we've already identified as exhibits, correct?
The exhibits from today?
Yes.
Yes.
Paragraph 4, would your answer to that question be the same?
Yes.
Now let me talk about paragraph 5, 6, and 7 as a group for the moment, and then we can come back and separate them. First, with respect to those 3 paragraphs as a group, I understand you to have not produced anything that you would consider responsive to paragraphs 5, 6, and 7. Is that true?
Scroll up, Jack. That is correct.
Okay. And that's because you believe they do not exist.
Based on the best of my knowledge and asking the questions to my office, that is a correct answer.
Okay.
Or correct question.
Now you'll note that that the paragraphs apply not only to policies and procedures, but also to, for example, training materials, education materials. Paragraph 7 makes reference to memoranda, education, or training materials concerning exculpatory evidence. I mean, I could go on with examples of this. Is it your testimony that you have no materials that are responsive to any aspect of any of those paragraphs, 5, 6, and 7?
At this time, to the best of my knowledge, no.
Can you tell me what you did in order to determine whether your office was in possession of, for example, manuals, handbooks, memoranda, education and/or training materials, or documents of any kind whatsoever concerning exculpatory evidence?
To Bev Badker at my office
Yes.
and asked her if we had any of these items in the office, and her answer to that question was no.
Did you ask anyone else in your office?
No.
Do you have any reason to believe that Miss Badker knows everything that is in your office, including the offices of the other assistant district attorneys?
I believe she would be the correct person to talk to about this because she's been there the longest.
Did you ask her to do a physical search of your premises to determine whether you possessed any of those items?
No, I did not.
Can I ask you what your comfort level is that Miss Badker's recollection without a search would be adequate to determine the existence of these items?
I asked her about this and I asked her if she knew, and that was the response that she gave me.
So do I understand then that no one in your office has gone through on any office by office basis your premises to determine whether you have items such as those we've been discussing in paragraph 7?
That would be an accurate statement.
Would that be true with respect to any of the items described in paragraphs 5 and 6 as well as 7?
Would be accurate, yes.
And I think I've asked you whether you yourself did such a physical search of your offices in an effort to inventory whether there are items that relate to paragraphs 5 through 7. Is that correct?
As of today's date, no, I have not.
Okay. Would the same be true with respect to, well, with respect to paragraphs 8 and 9, recognizing that some documents have already been produced under paragraphs 8 and 9?
Do you wish to take it one paragraph at a time?
If you'd like me to. Did you do a physical search or cause anyone else to do a physical search in an effort to locate documents described in paragraph 8?
I spoke to Bev Badker, and I also spoke to Assistant District Attorney Gail Pross. And that was the numbered 8 that you saw, that pile that was earlier here on the table. I currently have a prosecutor by the name of Doug Jones who prosecutes sexual assaults. He's on vacation. I was unable to converse with him about paragraph 8.
Is it your intention to talk to him when he returns and see if he's aware of anything else in your office that would comply with paragraph 8?
Yes, I will.
And if there is something, will you notify me?
Yes, I will.
He'll notify me.
That's fine, so long as y'all then notify me.
We understand the roles as represented here.
You've indicated that you spoke to Badker and also spoke to another assistant. I don't know if you responded to my question about whether or not you conducted a physical search. Was the fact that you indicated that you spoke to these people to tell me that you did not do the search but instead spoke to those folks?
I did not do a physical search of the office
Okay.
for items 5 through 8.
Nor, again, did you authorize or direct anyone else to do that. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Paragraph 9. Physical search done for any of these items?
No.
Okay. How did you determine the existence of or non-existence of the items called for in paragraph 9?
To the best of my abilities, there were 2 people that were familiar with the paragraph number 9.
And who are they?
Myself and Mike Greaseback.
The weasel. Da da da.
Da, da, da. Wait a minute.
You're gonna
Where's
do it, aren't
the,
you?
Line
I'm going
16.
to do it. Oh no, there's new ones.
Oh wow, there
Oh,
are new ones.
now I got that wasn't the one I wanted. There's a bunch of new ones.
There you go. All
The
right,
one I wanted.
moving on.
Okay. Oh, what happened?
I'm sorry, I clicked the wrong one. Damn it.
Um,
Line 16.
16.
and what did you do, and what did Mr. Greasyback do, to your knowledge?
I talked to Mike Greasyback about paragraph 9, and you saw paragraph 9 being complied with on the table earlier as well. It was Mike's file that he had active since September of 03, which we produced today, along with my active file since September of 03.
Okay.
And we've complied with this to the best of our abilities. Again,
So are you telling me that with respect to materials covered by this time period of September 1, 2003 to present, the only people in your office that would have such materials would be yourself and Mr. Greasyback?
to the best of my knowledge, I didn't discuss this with everyone, number 9.
Did you, for example, cause a photocopy of the attachment to be circulated among your entire office staff to ask if anybody had any of the items related to the attachment?
I did not do that.
Is that something that could be done?
If I were asked to do so, I would.
Well, I don't know.
By my counsel's advice, I would do that.
Well, yes.
Well, we'll take that up in a minute, I guess.
Okay.
Reporter, let's go off the record. And that lasted for, well, it looks like less than a minute. Back on the record.
A second.
Coming back to the paragraphs relating to Gregory Allen 2 and 4 in the attachment, did your office have at any time, to your knowledge, files for cases concerning Gregory Allen?
I wasn't there during this time period. We complied with the subpoena.
Okay. So does that mean you don't know if your office ever had files pertaining to cases involving Gregory Allen?
I can't answer that because I was not there until September of 2000. I'm sorry, let's try that again. Until March of 2003, when I was appointed by Governor Doyle.
Okay. So from March of 2003 to the present, your office has not had any original files relating to Gregory Allen.
Correct.
Do you know whether those files, well, I'm sorry. So you've never seen an original file relating to any case involving Gregory Allen. Is that your testimony?
That's correct.
Okay. The documents that are called for in the attachment have been described with respect to documents under your control, and you've made an exception with respect to 971.23 type policy, type police reports, correct?
Of the Wisconsin statutes, yes.
Right. And I guess the question I have is whether there are any documents that would fit within the attachment that are not currently under your control or have been transferred to any other location, so they are out of your control.
I'm confused by your question
Are you
because I have
kidding me?
difficulty. I
Go
have
ahead.
difficulty understanding the question.
That's funny. I'm confused by your question because I have difficulty understanding the question. What is it? That's called it's not a double negative, but a double something.
That's a
Dumb.
it's a double deflection is what it is.
Double
Yeah,
dumb.
double deflection. Yeah, for real.
Yeah. Or as
Oh,
Kay
sorry.
said,
Dad.
or as Kay says, double dumbass.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, sorry.
Never really learned well.
He'll give you another question, sweetie.
But rephrased, I don't understand your question.
No problem. Have you yourself or have you directed anyone to transfer from your office at any time documents that would otherwise have been produced here today as being within the attachment to the subpoena?
We transferred the file to the Attorney General's office in September of 03 for an investigation.
That file, as I understand from your council statement that you've ratified, has been returned as in and is contained within the box that I think is 95. Is that correct?
Well, actually, just for clarity's sake, his whole file, the DA's file, all came to our office, is my understanding, and then it was sent back.
Okay, well then,
And then it also included, I think it is box 95, I think. It did inadvertently include DOJ records into our Exhibit 95, which had been maintained since that time.
okay.
Okay.
Can you ratify the statement of your counsel? I'm guessing she said yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay,
that
okay, and do you?
I do ratify.
With respect to the documents that went to the Attorney General's office or elsewhere in the DOJ, are you able to tell us whether you know that the documents that you've sent have been returned and are contained now in the documents that are present?
To the best of my knowledge, yes. We did not document every little,
Sure.
as one would. We transferred to them as you asked.
And you didn't take a page by page inventory or anything like that, true?
That is correct.
What I'm trying to get at, though, is whether, as you observed the materials when they came back from the Attorney General's office, there was anything that you noticed that was missing.
Not to my knowledge, no.
One last area, I think, on the Gregory Allen materials. It is the practice of your office currently, ever since you've been BA, to open a file on any criminal case where you issue charges, correct?
That is correct.
To your knowledge, that was the policy followed by your predecessors, correct?
I don't
Mr. Gabelli, objection, no foundation.
I don't know what their function, how they did things. I wasn't there.
Well, let's see if we can draw some inferences, okay? You've been a lawyer for how long?
We're getting into keeper of the records, or
Mm-hmm.
this seems to me to be getting outside of what I thought we were doing today.
Well, that's okay. You've been a lawyer for,
1992?
okay, and
Well, it's okay by you, Steve, but where are we going? Are we deposing him today, or are we staying with records?
no, we're talking about records.
All right.
Since 1992?
Yes.
And is it fair to say that your practice is that whenever you open a case, you create a file?
Objection. I don't think this is a fair question for what we're here today. His practices in private practice or his prior life are not about this subpoena and not about this attachment. So if you're changing the game, let me know.
If I am, I will. I'm not.
Well, no, you are. So I'll instruct him not to answer that question because you're changing the game.
You can't even instruct him to do anything. Oh, whoops, that was Mr. Kelly.
Oh, that's okay.
You can't even, okay, yeah. Okay, Mr. Glenn. I don't think you're allowed, Jim, I've allowed you to, Mr. Kelly, you're a third party observer, Mr. Glenn. I've allowed you to speak.
I'm representing him and I'll move
Right.
for a protective order and we'll let Judge Griesbach make the call. That's what I'll do.
Okay, we may need to do that.
Well, we may.
If that's what we need to do, then that's what we'll do.
Well, but I don't think.
If we continue to not get responsive answers to the questions we ask.
Well, question to what though? I mean, I thought we were here to produce records this afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to produce him infinitely to be deposed. It's not fair to him.
Right. Your objection is noted. You want to instruct him not to answer?
Well, I'm moving for a protective order based on what you represented this deposition to be. And ask on that question, I'll let Judge Griesbach rule on it. And if need be, and you already said you're likely to depose him in the future, if you want to say you're going to depose him today, we'll depose him today, and that will be that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that's being fair. What am I missing?
You're missing the fact that I need to lay a foundation to ask him questions about his knowledge of the practices within his office.
Well,
This is the beginning of laying that foundation.
well, what he did in private practice is just not reasonably calculated to lead to admissible evidence, and I don't think it's fair.
I think it is. I think it is.
Well, to expedite things, you're going to be real quick with this, right?
Mm-hmm. Sure. That's the point.
All right, we'll allow a little foundation here.
May I answer?
Yes.
Your question again, please.
Yes. Ever since you've been a lawyer, every time you open a new file, you've created a file folder for it, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And when you came into the office of the DA, you found filing cabinets that have file folders in them, correct?
Yes.
And those file folders related to cases that were open in your office as DA, correct?
Opened and closed.
Right. That would have been the next question. And there are also file folders in there that are related to files that have been opened in your office but were since closed, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So from that set of observations that you've made, you were able to draw a conclusion, were you not, that it was the practice of your predecessor to open a file whenever a case was being prosecuted?
Mr. Covelli, I'm going to object. No foundation calls for speculation beyond the scope of his presentation here as a custodian.
You're allowed to answer.
Well, wait a minute. You know, we have an obligation under the federal rules and local rules to resolve the attempt to resolve discovery disputes between us.
Right.
And if you tell me where you're going ultimately, I might be able to understand these foundation questions.
Fine, let's go off the record.
Actually, I'd like to stay on the record.
Okay, I choose not to get into a dialogue with you at this time. Now, are you able to answer the question?
Then I'll.
The predecessor is Fitzgerald or who?
Whoever it is, whoever his predecessor is,
Well,
he was only one predecessor.
okay, as long as we understand.
Right.
All right. Given counsel's representation that he doesn't want to resolve this dispute, I have no choice but to instruct you not to answer. I'll move for a protective order because I think you're way outside of the scope of the keeper of the records deposition.
Okay. Mr. Rohrer, at the time that you were in the district attorney's office in March of 2003, were you able to form any impression as to whether or not your office had files that related to Gregory Allen?
In March of 2003, I wasn't aware of every single file, even including Mr. Allen at that time. We had numerous files in our office at that time.
What's your file retention policy in your office?
What you have in your office is you have currently open files. That's in one area of the office. You have closed files in another area of the office. As this filing space is filled up, those files are transferred to various locations. The closed files, that would be, of course.
Okay. And what is the policy with respect to when files are transferred?
What is the policy?
Is it done on a chronological basis or strictly a space needed basis?
It's done. If you mean by chronological basis, you're saying the chronology of the files.
Duh, yes.
The
Sorry.
ages of the files, that is one of the factors, yes. And the type of files is another factor.
Okay, let's talk about criminal files. Is there any difference between the way criminal felony files are treated and the way criminal misdemeanor files are treated?
In what sense, please?
Oh my God. In the file retention policy?
No, those are pretty much treated the same, as my understanding, since I've been in office.
Okay. And can you tell me whether there is a time period within which any criminal file must be kept within your office confines?
No,
It depends entirely then on storage space.
that is correct.
Okay. So if a file has been moved out of your office, where will it be moved to?
The files would be moved to the downstairs basement of the courthouse behind the Family Court Commissioner's B15 room.
Any other location besides that?
Files in the course, you understand it's a transition, and they'll also be going, I believe, to the Blue Building as it's known. I believe it's the county complex where storage is also of the files.
Are you able to tell me by date or any other general form of description what files from your office are still within the courthouse as opposed to having been transferred over to what you described as the blue building?
No.
Was any effort made to search the blue building or the area you described in the basement of the courthouse as being behind B15 for files relating to Gregory Allen?
Yes.
Okay, who did that, and can you describe it, please?
Linda Dueno Dufek is the person who searched, if I may call it, the blue building for the older files with Mr. Allen. And I personally went downstairs to look for that traffic file involving Mr. Allen, and it did not locate it.
Involving Mr. Avery. Just
Oh, sorry, yeah,
sorry.
Mr. Avery.
Did somebody search for Mr. Allen's files in the B15 area of the courthouse?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Do you keep, or does your office keep, an index of closed files?
No. Yeah, yes and no. I believe record keeping has occurred. I don't know the precise year, but it's very recent, within the last decade.
He says, I believe record keeping has occurred. Shouldn't that just be a given? Or am I not thinking?
No, you're thinking correct. You know, and this whole thing, you know, it's redundant, but you know, you got to give credit to Glenn and Kelly for what they're doing. And if it's not been made clear, they're trying to ascertain if files have been moved out of the office, and that allows them to take files that that are probably closed and move them off to somewhere else. And so they just, well, I don't know, have any knowledge of that. I don't know where they're at. They didn't
Yeah,
search clearly the B15
plausible
area.
deniability.
Yep, and the blue building. So there very possibly was actual files, arrest reports, and so forth on Gregory Allen in storage, and they didn't look. So
Yeah,
I have to give them credit for driving the train here.
yeah. Yeah, they're trying to drill it home for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, line 7. When you say, quote unquote, it's very recent, do you mean that the decision to maintain an index of closed files is something that began within the last decade?
There, when the decision was made, as far as keeping track of files, I would say I wasn't there. I followed the continued practice. We don't keep a log, I should say, per se, of the files. We have a list of the complaints that we file. We have it on a computer. It has the case number and the person's name. And that's how we have a record for files that we've done.
Okay, well, let me back up. Does your office assign a district attorney's case number to a file?
Since we've been on Protect, yes, if I understand your terminology correctly.
Okay.
DA case number. Do you mean a court case number or a DA case number?
No, I said a DA office case number.
We now have DA case number since I believe April 2005, which is through our case management system called Protect.
Okay. Do I understand that prior to April of 2005, your office did not number its files in any way except by the circuit court case number?
That is correct.
Did you, either by using an agency such as CCAP or the Office of the Clerk, attempt to identify files that related to Gregory Allen?
I did not.
And when files go into storage, are they stored in a way that allows one who wishes to locate a file to locate it by a case number?
They're not done by case number. They are done by year and alphabetized as well, and by type of case sometimes.
I'm not sure I understand. Does that mean somewhere in your offices or in the storage room that you've described as being behind B15, for example, there will be files that were put there at a certain time period, and that group of files will be alphabetized? Or do the new
The files are placed in a large banker's box.
Okay. Scroll, brother, scroll.
Oh, sorry. My
He's reading
bad.
the chat.
And he'll be eating that pizza he ordered. That's what he'll be doing, Rhonda. And they're placed by year and they're alphabetized.
Within the box.
That's correct.
So if I wanted to go search for files relating to Gregory Allen, I could go down there and look at every single box there, and because they're alphabetized, look under that part of the alphabet that would include the name Allen.
Yes.
And was that done to your knowledge?
In the B15 area? No.
Jeez. In the other area, the blue building area, was that done?
To the best of my knowledge, by Linda Denyu. Defect, yes.
Okay. And are you able to tell me that the files that are still within the courthouse in this B15 area would cover a particular time period, or can you not say that based on what you know?
Yes, they would.
And what time period would that be, please?
I don't know the precise time period. Some of the dates I saw were 2001 forward, up to the point, of where the cutoff would be from the stuff in our office.
Sure.
It may contain some 2000s or 99s, but I'm not sure.
Would you feel safe in saying that the files in, excuse me, would you feel safe in saying that the files in the Manitowoc County Courthouse would be files that would be no earlier than, relating to Gregory Allen, would be no, or anyone else for that matter, I guess, would be no earlier than, I don't know, let's say 1998?
Well, including the clerk of court's office in your question too.
No, just that would contain your office's files.
If you're strictly focusing on my files or the district attorney's files, that would be a correct statement.
Okay.
To the best of my knowledge, yes, a very accurate statement.
And is that why you didn't have anybody go through the files in the courthouse that came out of your office originally?
In regarding to Mr. Allen,
Yes, sir.
that's correct.
Okay. How far back do the files that are kept in the blue building go?
I would not know the answer to that question.
Well, do they go back at least as far as 1983?
I would not know the answer to that question.
Who would?
I would be guessing only by saying Linda, do you know defect? Again, I'm not familiar with the contents of that building.
How would you attempt to find files from 1983 that were generated by your office?
Again, it depends.
Okay. Tell me what it depends on. How do you do it?
I guess, first of all, what we would do is we'd see if we had anything in our office.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing would be to do is that Yvonne Kerkis in my office would contact Linda Denio Defect and ask if there was any of those files in the blue building. And then we would wait for Linda Dueno Defect to produce those files to us.
Do you have any idea, by the way, do you know how to spell Linda Dueno Dufek or whatever her name is?
She's a public works, and I imagine it's Dufek, if I'm not mistaken, but I don't want to misspell her name.
Okay.
But I believe that's how it's spelled.
But that's a phonetic spelling from your point of view.
Yes.
Okay. Have you yourself ever gone to that building?
I've gone there. I don't know if I've been in that building or that building. What? I've gone there. I don't know if I've been in that building or at that building in my life. I don't know the answer to that question, but I've never gone there for looking at files, if that's your question. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ!
Was
The
was
yes
that
or no question.
exactly? Did that sound as daft to me as what it sounded like reading
Well,
it? I mean,
you know,
You
what
sound so constipated.
He
what I'm
got
getting
tripped
out
up.
what I'm getting out of all of it, he's deflecting. That's what I'm
Yeah.
getting.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Okay.
mean, this
So
is
if
my dyslexia. I mean, it's freaking hard enough to read shit most of the time, but this is unbelievable.
wait till I ask you to read some Rocky Gregory testimony.
Oh,
Freak
jeez.
the fuck out, man. Okay, line 17. Okay, so is it your understanding that in order to carry out the request that you made of your office staff to comply with paragraphs 2 and 4 of the attachment, Ms. Dufek would have searched the Blue Building District Attorney files for materials relating to Mr. Allen?
That would be potentially located in that building, yes.
I vote that this court recorder, whatever, learn how to use punctuation.
No doubt.
I'm trying to read. I'm just going to add my own punctuation where I think it goes. And what files would not potentially be located in that building?
Well, if there was stuff, as I said earlier, in our office or behind B15.
True. Well, you've told me that nothing prior to 1998 would likely be in the B15 area, and you've told me that there's nothing in your office relating to Mr. Allen, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so
From 1998 forward, other than what I've produced for you today, sir.
mhm. So this person named Defect is not an employee of your office, is that right?
Correct. She's employed by the Public Works, Manitowoc County.
Do you know whether there is any index kept of district attorney files in the Blue Building?
To the best of my knowledge, no.
Do you have any idea how she would carry out that search?
I never watched her do a search. That's just a policy that's been mandated by the Public Works to us. When we're asking for those types of files, we follow that mandate.
I'm gonna break here for just a second. Well, we got 20, basically, looks like about 15 pages or so left to go on this one. And I know we had this discussion before. I'm not sure if Christina's still here or not, but um, I don't know what the rest of you, and I don't really know what the Public Works does in Manitowoc County, but I don't know. I'm doubting that they're lawyers, and I'm doubting this Linda doing no defect as a lawyer. But to allow just a regular employee, I mean, I don't know the procedure around this person if they had to sign documentation, uh, because there's really sensitive information within those files, especially the district attorney files, right? I mean, that's what I see. This
Yeah.
is work product, which I can't really speak too much on, but generally work product, you can't. The public is not allowed that. Um, I guess what I'm beating around the bush and trying to get at is there a conflict here? Is this somebody that's truly trustworthy that wouldn't screw with those files? That would be my question. And I'm a little surprised that Mark Rohr or that I mean I think Glenn or Kelly, whoever Glenn I guess is doing the questioning, that he's not really driving this point pretty hard. So I'll just leave my comment there if anybody's got anything else to say.
I
And I
just
think
think that Rohr is so careful of how to answer every single question, and
he
I
is
wonder why.
exactly. I think again it's because he knows what these guys are looking for,
Yeah.
and um, I think he's basically the way he's done this. He's really called him out because they didn't search the blue building, which probably does contain files on Gregory Allen.
Agreed.
And Travis had asked a question.
Yeah. Who was it that gave a deposition in this case who says they had seen documents and they were sent to the AG's office?
Um, I'm going to take a little stab at this, and I don't know if I'm correct, Travis, but I think that might have been Fallon, maybe.
I think Jones and Fallon both opened that can of worms, right?
I think so.
Alan sounds familiar to me. That's like jingling around in my head.
Yeah.
Turtle
Yeah.
lips.
Yeah, I think that's correct, Travis, but don't hold me to that. But I guess at the end of this, I'm thinking about what Greasebuck and Rohr took a box of business with them to the DOJ, AG's office, whatever, um, in the beginning. So, if you're talking about that, that would have been Rohr and Fallon that would have seen those files.
And who was the original assistant attorney general? You did his deposition a while back. I can't remember his name. It wasn't Fallon, it was the other guy who handled when Stephen was released. Because remember they were questioning about the press release that was up on the DOJ website and then it disappeared, but they had a copy of it.
It wasn't Tinker, was it?
Oh yeah, I think it was Steve
Tinker.
Tinker.
Steve
Yeah.
Tinker? Yeah.
Yeah.
I do remember that. Yeah.
Think.
And yeah, I mean Tinker's, he was really one of the at least one of the ones that assigned cases to the various AAGs within the AG's office. So, but yeah, I think that was Steve Tinker.
Yeah. And
So,
then because he's the one that they were questioning him because Lautenschlager, right after Stephen's release, gave a statement to the press saying that her office had no jurisdiction to investigate the matter, remember? And everybody had a fit over that statement. And that's why they even investigated it to begin with, if I recall correctly, right?
Hold on just a second, guys.
Travis said
Travis
yes.
in
Oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Travis in chat says yes, that is it. There was a conflict between what DA said they sent and what AG said they got. This is what this whole deposition is all about. Thank you, Travis.
Sorry about that.
Did pizza get there?
Well, yeah, but I don't have any of it yet, so
No.
Pizza, pizza.
they've all eaten, but I haven't. No. Now, what was the question
Uh,
from Travis before we get going again?
No, he had a comment. He goes, yes, that it is. There was a conflict between what DA said they sent and what AG said they got.
There you
This
go.
is what this whole deposition is all about.
There you go. Yeah.
yeah.
Alrighty. So just start at line 1 before we're out here.
Okay. So you yourself don't know how those files are arranged in the blue building, correct?
Correct.
You're not aware of the existence of an index, correct?
To the best of my knowledge, no.
And you've relied on someone who is not in your office to determine whether files that relate to Gregory Allen exist in that building. Is that correct?
I asked her to get those files if they did exist. That's what I did.
And no one from your office made any effort to determine whether Mrs. Dufec's effort was complete and exhaustive?
We follow the mandated procedure.
It's just yes or no.
Yes, I did not. I'm sorry. If you want to repeat your question, please.
Yes, I did not. You want to read it back to him or play it back?
That's a good one. I caught that too, Rhonda. Go ahead. Say that again.
You want to read it back to him or play it back?
Reporter, sure. Off the record. Question played back in less than a minute. Reporter, we replayed the previous question. Back on the record.
And do you have an answer?
The answer is that is correct.
Okay. Let me go off the record for a moment, please.
Off the record for a minute. Back on.
Mr. Rohr, I understand that you did not cause a search to be made of CCAP or the Circuit Court Clerk's Office to identify criminal prosecutions within Manitowoc County of Gregory Allen. Is that correct?
That is correct.
If you did that and you discovered that your office, through predecessor district attorneys, had prosecuted Mr. Allen in 1983, 1985, 1986, how would you go about locating your office's files relating to those prosecutions?
I look in my office first to see if it was there, but realistically, I know the answer would be that if we did have such a document or file, it would be in the blue building.
Okay. And how would you determine whether such files are in the blue building?
We would contact Linda Juno Defect, and a search would be made.
And are those files kept there in the same fashion that they're kept in the B15 area?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Are you aware whether these large banker boxes that you earlier described get repacked when the files are moved from the courthouse to the blue building?
I don't know.
Who in your office would know?
I don't know who would know, to be quite frank with you.
So you have no idea of how files that belong to your office are kept if they're not currently in the courthouse?
It's my understanding they're kept in the blue building, as I stated earlier.
Yeah, but you don't know if they're arranged alphabetically, chronologically, by the size of the file, by the name of the prosecutor, any of those things, correct?
That's correct.
So you have no way of knowing how it is that the search was conducted.
Correct.
By Miss Dufect, assuming that she's the one who carried out the search?
I don't know who who did the search.
Oh, that was an interesting little
Mhm.
something. Why don't you tell me your communications with anybody in the world to try to locate files relating to Gregory Allen in response to the subpoena?
Nothing in our office.
How do you know that?
I
The question asks for your communications with anybody in response to the subpoena with respect to Gregory Allen.
okay. My communications were because of Mr. Allen. What I did is I contacted Linda Juno DeFeck. Actually, I had Yvonne Kerakis first call her. I believe it's earlier this week. And then I spoke personally with Linda Juno DeFeck and asked her to look for these files.
And did she respond to your request?
She did.
What did she say?
She said she would do it and she produced them. Whatever the heck was out there, she produced.
Snippy. Did she
Mm-hmm.
tell you that she was unable to find any files relating to Gregory Allen for earlier years? Oh my God.
I did not speak to her personally. She dropped off, whatever they found in regard to Mr. Avery and in regard to Mr. Allen at my office. There were no files that she dropped off in regard to Mr. Allen.
What?
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, she didn't drop off anything that in regards to Gregory Allen, just Avery.
Yeah, just Avery.
Well,
Okay.
Travis I'm sorry.
Oh, go
Travis
ahead.
in chat says, it was a document that was significantly helpful to Stephen, and I do now recall that it was delivered. I think Griesbach testified in his deposition that it would have been sent to AG. He sent everything. He kept saying, "in sent everything," or "was sent everything." So it would be in there. Thank you, Travis.
Yep.
Just bloody ridiculous. I mean, even the way they're asking questions and everything like that, it's stupid. It really is stupid.
Well, he's
Well,
so
I get,
dodgy.
yeah,
He's
I was
so
gonna say I
dodgy.
get what
Everything.
Kelly's doing, but it's
Yeah.
Rohr that's being
She
flaky.
dropped off whatever they found in regard to Mr. Avery and Mr. Allen at my office. The following sentence: there were no files that she dropped off in regard to Mr. Allen. Well, you just said that she did.
Yeah,
That's
Kind of.
right.
Yeah.
yeah. Make up your mind,
Yeah.
dumbass.
And he didn't talk to her directly, but
Yeah. But he sent her there.
he's the one that
Yeah.
got the subpoena. So did it get delivered third party? I mean, it's
Yeah.
really sketchy.
Yeah, for sure. Line 14. Okay, so what happened is that she dropped off files relating to Mr. Avery and had no conversation with you?
That is correct.
Did she have conversation with anyone else in your office who then spoke with you?
I can't say what she said and who she spoke to. My understanding is she probably spoke to Yvonne Kerkis because again she came to tell me this is what Linda had dropped off. So I'm assuming that's what occurred.
Okay, but have you since that time, and was that, by the way, wait, what?
When was that?
I don't understand that.
And when
And the, huh? Can you go back? Okay, but have you since that time, and when was that, by the way? And the referent in my question is, Lord,
I'm so glad you're having some of the same trouble as what I'm having, Rhonda. Then I know it's not just me. Are you
well,
talking about the files I received?
when is it that Miss Dufek dropped off materials?
It would have been, I believe, Tuesday of this week.
Okay, between Tuesday and today, have you contacted Miss Dufek?
I have not.
Have you caused anybody else in your office to check with her to see if to ask her what she did in her search for Allen files?
No, I did not.
So I guess at this stage, what you can tell us is that your office currently does not have within the confines of your office in the Manitowoc County Courthouse any files relating to Mr. Allen. True?
Other than what has been produced to you today.
Other than other than what's been produced. Sure. True?
Yes,
And you would have no reason to believe there would be files in the courthouse outside of your office and outside the clerk's office that would relate to Mr. Allen's criminal prosecutions?
to the best of my knowledge, that is correct.
And as for whether or not there are files that are in the blue building, that would be up to whether or not Miss Dufek understood the instructions and conducted the search and found nothing, correct?
That is correct.
And those are assumptions that you make based on the fact that she dropped off materials relating to Mr. Avery, but had no materials relating to Mr. Allen. Do I understand that right?
That is correct.
Where did you get the materials relating to Mr. Allen that you've produced today?
They were in the original district attorney's file involving Mr. Avery. Also, they may have been materials. I'm not sure 100% from the DOJ as well.
That's an
Okay,
interesting thing. What he just said right there, that Allen's material was in with the Avery stuff.
it's Avery
Yep,
stuff, yeah. Yep.
What the hell, man? Why would it be in there?
exactly. Why would
Yeah, let's
Alan,
ask Vogel.
yeah, why would Alan's stuff be in Avery stuff if they've got completely different file numbers, case numbers, DA numbers?
Exactly. Was it an attempt to, maybe kind of hide stuff without,
Yep.
just destroying it and that kind of thing? That's really sketchy to me. I apologize for interrupting. Continue on line 20.
Okay. Let me ask you to assume that there was a photograph taken of Gregory Allen in 1983 in connection with an arrest of him in Manitowoc County, okay? Let me also ask you to assume that the arrest that was made of Mr. Allen turned into a criminal charge issued by your office, albeit with a predecessor district attorney. Let me also ask you to assume that there was a conviction in that case and that the clerk's file would be closed as a consequence of that conviction having occurred almost, well, I guess roughly 20 years ago, okay? Making those assumptions, are you able to tell me, first of all, whether the file that may have been created in the DA's office on that would likely still exist in your office?
Mr. Cavalli, objection, no foundation.
You can answer.
Okay. I don't know the answer to that question. I can tell
Shocker.
you that Bev Babka, maybe to move this along a little bit, if I may, is that certain files, because of the age of the files, were destroyed.
Okay.
Again, before I was there, because of the age.
Do you have any information regarding the destruction of files at a time when you were not part of the DA's office?
No.
Do you have any information from Ms. Badker or anyone else regarding destruction of files that would help us identify a file may have been destroyed?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay. Do you remember the hypothetical I was asking?
I do.
Okay. If you wanted to try to find the photograph of Mr. Allen that may have, admittedly, we don't know, but may have been placed in the district attorney's office file, how would you go about looking for it?
Check to see if such a file involving Mr. Allen existed, using your hypothetical. If I was unable to locate that, I would then possibly contact law enforcement to see if they had such a photo that existed. And that's what I would do.
Okay. With respect to a 1983 case, are you in a position to tell us whether well, are you in a position to tell us whether there are in existence in the blue building any files that go as far back as 1983? And I don't want to limit that to what you know of your own knowledge, because I understand you don't even know for sure if you've been in there, but based on other searches that you've asked to be made by other
I've never searched for a file from 1983.
okay. Have you
So I can't
okay, go ahead.
answer that question.
Have you ever searched for a file older than that?
No,
What's the oldest file you've ever had occasion to search for?
not me.
Mr. Bascom, other than the Avery file, because that's been searched. You mean other than the file materials he produced today pursuant to the subpoena?
I mean any files in the world.
Okay.
Well, the oldest one that you had produced, I produced for you today, is a 1985 file involving a charge involving Mr. Avery.
Okay.
And that was a felony file.
Any other files that would fit within the category in your mind of being very old?
I don't classify things as being very old. I look at them as whether or not they are available.
Okay. Let's talk about files that are available then. Are you able to tell me any files that are available to go back as far as 1983?
Again, I've never searched for one from 1983, so I can't answer that question.
Are you unwilling to rely on the people in your office and the person whose name is Dufek that cause searches to be done at your discretion, direction?
I would rely on her, yes.
Okay. So as you're sitting here today, are you comfortable in saying under oath that your office does not have control over any file of Mr. Allen other than those that you have produced today?
In 971.23 as well in your question?
Including a file, not a police report that would be a 971.23 document, but a file.
That's correct.
Okay. So you would feel that the fact that Miss Dufek didn't turn anything back to you is enough to make you comfortable that no such file exists over in that building. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
She's found files in the past when we've made a request, and if they exist, she's found them.
Again, but I mean, I take it you can understand my questions because as I'm hearing you, you haven't really had occasion to ask her to look for records that are as old as these are. Is that correct?
That's an accurate statement, yes.
Okay. How do we find her, Miss Dufek?
If I can give that number to my attorney, and
Yeah, well, I just think I think you just identify where she works.
Yeah, I mean, do you have anything more than what you were talking about?
she works for the Manitowoc County Public Works Department.
Right. But I mean, is there a subdivision in that department or anything else that
No.
would allow me to identify her more easily?
If you just call up the Public Works Department and ask to speak to her, they'll get you to her.
Okay. I don't think I have anything else. Anything else you want? Nope. Mr. Glenn. Nope, that's all.
Mr. Cavelli, I have nothing. Order, there being no further questions, this deposition is concluded at 3:15 p.m. Off the record.
I
And as
learned
always,
nothing from
as
that.
we can see, well, there must have been some suspicion. Let me turn this. Well, let me just put it on the other one here. Hold on. To their credit, I think there must have been some suspicion, for whatever reason that we're unaware of, that they didn't produce or they wouldn't produce everything that they had on Gregory Allen because they knew that was their the goal here of these civil attorneys. So this, I don't know. I want to call it sneaky. Maybe it's a bad word. I don't know. But this blue building likely had material, reports or whatever, on Gregory Allen that was relevant, I guess is the best word, to this case. That it could have pointed even more about who knew what and when they knew it about him, especially around the 85 time frame. I mean, that would have been, I think, really key. Travis probably has other ways to describe as a lawyer, maybe he can describe it better. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
So yeah, it was really frustrating. I mean, we've read this one before, and it was frustrating then. At least he didn't have too many. I don't recall. He did have some, obviously, or I don't know. And
I
it's
can't
like this.
answer that. I don't know.
Well, I mean, he gets a subpoena, in the civil suits, and not having that subpoena in front of me, we can only speculate as to what they were asking. But you would think that it being directed to the DA's office, he would have had a more hands-on type of involvement instead of going through, some other person in the office. Get a hold of this Linda Defec and have her check for, and we don't know the answer to what he said or how she understood it. I think that was maybe accidentally on purpose. We don't know, but I do think it raises questions because he clearly said he didn't talk to her.
Yeah, he said he hadn't personally spoke to her, but he was told that she'd dropped the stuff off.
That's right.
Susan's joined us as well. Hi, Susan. Nice to see you. And just quickly, Jack, Mystic Jinx is in chat. Hi, Mystic Jinx. She says, BB's been listening to everyone and seems to be responsive to all the voices in her head today.
That is so
Brilliant.
fantastic. That is fantastic.
Yeah.
We're so glad
That's
to hear that.
beautiful.
Yeah,
That
that's
is
what we
very
want.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, baby. Love you,
We love
dear.
Hi,
you.
we love you. We miss you.
Sister Susan, heard you went to,
Yes.
you had a wedding?
Oh, I went to such a beautiful wedding today. It was
Can you
75 degrees and sunny and
can
just
we
gorgeous.
can we
And
see your ring? Oh, it wasn't you that got married.
hell no,
Jack,
never again.
he tried to say, I don't
Been there,
know if
done that.
it was her wedding
Been
or
there, done that twice.
so.
No, but it was really, really beautiful.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's a great day. Yeah.
No,
That's
that
great.
sounds good.
I
Jinx said,
got a slight buzz on, so it feels pretty good.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So
um, Jinx says, her daughter said to tell you all, tell the group thank you so much for making her feel so special and wanted.
Wow,
That's
you are
Very
special
special and
and wanted.
That's
yeah,
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
she is foul play. She created
Yeah.
foul play. Not
Yes,
here. It
yes.
wouldn't have been
You are
for
so special to all of us. Yes.
Yeah, no,
thank you,
Very
Jinx, for passing on
yeah,
the messages as well.
absolutely.
Please, when you speak to them, tell them thank you so much, and it's our pleasure, and we miss her like mad.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was going to ask you, Susan, if they had, if they were serving, a little bit of booze there at the wedding.
Bit of champagne, little wine, little beer,
I
you
was,
Is that
know.
all?
I
They
was
need to
gonna
make
say,
some.
can't you tell by this tone of her voice, Jack? Come on
Yeah,
now.
I
Known her
knew.
long enough.
I knew. I did.
Are you saying I sound drunk, sis?
Oh, no, 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 no.
No, not
I'm
drunk.
not drunk.
Just
I am
happy.
not drunk. I'm just,
I
yeah, just a
oh,
little
okay,
nice
if you say
buzz.
so.
Well, alcohol either helps improve a wedding to a really nice degree, or it turns into a brawl. You just never know,
Yeah,
right?
This was
yeah,
a nice one. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
nobody
great.
brawled. Yeah,
That's
great
so
people,
that's so fantastic.
awesome.
Glad they
Good
had
wonderful
for you.
friends.
glad they
Yeah,
had a special day.
I
yeah,
speak
me
from
too.
experience when I say that if you are tipsy on this podcast, you won't be the first to be sick.
No,
I know
absolutely.
that. I
That
do
No,
that's
know
for
that.
that's for sure. Okay, so we've covered this first part, and this leads into the reason as to why he was called back to get more in detail about what they brought. Um,
Who is that, Jack, in the
it's
photo
Mark.
there? I only
Oh
see
no,
half his face.
this is the second one. This is the second. Here, hold on. This is Larry Belkey. This is the second
Okay.
deposition that I pulled up because the other one wasn't too awfully long. This one's even shorter. It's probably 40 something pages, so it's you know um, not too long. This is
Bilky.
Larry Belkey, and I'm pretty sure he was a Manitowoc County detective or an officer. I can't remember, and
Mm-hmm.
I didn't scroll down on this one and look who he was, but I figured that we could knock these two out and be done with it. This one is, as you can see here, it's August 24th, so it's that other one's August 5th, so 2.5, 3 weeks later. Um,
I don't
they
recall ever seeing this guy's face. Can you go back down a little bit? I want to look at him again.
uh,
There he
I,
is. Okay.
yeah, I don't remember if he's
Bilky.
in any photographs that we've got of the.
I know his name,
Yeah,
but I just didn't
absolutely.
have a face for it. Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely been in some reports, but
Pretty sure he had some interaction with Gregory Allen.
He does not look happy to be there. I'll just say that.
He sure don't.
I'm gonna bet he probably could have used a couple of shots of champagne before he went there, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Anyway, unless there's carryover questions, let's go ahead and get this one knocked out. I think this one will be far more interesting than that last one. I mean, the last one was interesting because it laid the foundation of just exactly what they did or what Rohr did and didn't do. So I think
I
it was really important that Glenn and Kelly do that. Go ahead, Christina.
one first off, I want to say every time we do these depositions, even if we're repeating them, I glean something new. Also, does anyone else find Rohr's unprofessionalism and complete lack of urgency or concern to make sure that he is doing his job properly, like quite awful?
I
They all
do,
seem to be that way,
Yeah.
I
actually.
do, but I think he's been hammered with instruction, and he's so I don't know I don't know the right word to put it, but he's out there on an island, and you know that he wants to answer, but he's afraid to phrase it properly. That's what I got out of a lot of it. I don't know about you guys.
I think they all have an attitude of it doesn't matter. It's not going to go. They're not concerned about getting in trouble. They're not. Like
Right.
because they're under oath and they're still acting as flippant and as careless with their words, like they knew this case was never going to see the courtroom. And you can feel Glenn and Kelly just getting frustrated, like how he didn't even go through the boxes and organize the documents. Like
Right.
that's lawyer 101.
To me, I would have wanted to know what was in those boxes personally, as if I was a prosecutor. What am I handing over? I mean, not that he would withhold anything, but I certainly would want to be at least a little familiar with the material.
I'd want to make sure I complied. Yeah.
That too, because if they went before the judge and said, "Look, Judge, there's stuff that they didn't produce that he's got a subpoena for," that would have been really bad as a prosecutor. Not that he would necessarily gotten a lot of trouble, but the judge a federal judge might have admonished him pretty heavily. But yeah, I don't disagree, Christina. I really don't. I think it. I don't know. Without knowing more about what they said to Rohr before he testified, I do think that they hammered him pretty good, personally.
Yeah. And I knew Griesbach had won election and had not chosen not to take the position.
Yeah, that's really strange.
I did not know that Rohr was a Doyle appointee. And I do believe Rohr is now a judge, right?
Yep.
That is just too much.
Isn't it?
Yep.
All right, let's move on here. We'll go through the lawyers. Of course, Glenn and Kelly. And you all's favorites.
Can I read something more lively than this every 15 pages?
I'm gonna assign you something new, my dear. Covelli and Bascom, I will tell. And of course, Pollen, he's on behalf of Kasoric and Manitowoc County, and John Mayer. And then C, it's just Steve. Jody's in jail. She's locked up.
What date are we at here, George?
This is the 24th of August.
Okay.
Are you up to reading, or do you think you?
You bet. I love to read.
Alrighty.
Oh boy.
Okay. So Neverly,
get a show, everybody.
Neverly, if you would read Glenn's part, the questions, you'd be the lawyer.
Sure.
And Susan, if you could read the answers, you'd be Mr. Belkey.
I sure will.
And I'll be Bascom and Covelli and Alice, or it doesn't matter. I don't care which. Who's up for? Who wants to do some more reading? Alice or Rhonda? You guys want to split the other duties up?
I'm free now too if you need anybody.
Sweet, you can do the reporter. It's not too much, but I'm gonna keep you a little involved there.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever you need me to do, Jack.
Okay. So why don't you do Bascom?
And I'm doing Bascom?
Yeah, you can do. Yeah, I'll give you a break. You can do Bascom and Pollen and Alice, if you can do John Mayer. I don't think he says much, so it kind of gives you a break too. Is that okay?
Yeah, I just thought you were going to do Bascom and Covelli, so I want to make sure I'm reading the right people.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to tell Anthony Hills, no, I'm not reading Belkey like Kratz. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. You're
it's
correct.
Bad enough.
I'll
bad enough to read Kratz like Kratz.
I'll do Covelli and Bascom. I apologize. I did screw that up. I'll do Covelli and Bascom like I always do.
Okay.
And then Rhonda, you can do Pollen and Mayer.
Okay.
And then that covers. Alice, can you do the reporter if he says anything? That kind of frees you up. You can. Oh, I'm sorry, Cherie. Cherie can do the reporter, and that frees Alice up to follow the questions if there's anything in the comments that we need to get to.
Sure.
Thank you. And then looks like there's one exhibit, a DOJ report. So again, I promise I'm going to try to get to that this week. This exhibit that was presented in the Coburn, the Netflix, that's got a lot of these reports in there. I know they're there. I just didn't read. There were so many. I just didn't have time at that time to read through them. And I haven't went through and divided them up. But I'm going to do that. So anyway, let's get started. So looks like line 13.
Line 13, yes.
Yep.
Mr. Belkey, my name is Stephen Glenn. I know you prefer to be called Leroy, but because this is a formal proceeding, I will call you Mr. Belkey, okay?
That's fine.
First of all, were you asked whether you had any documents related to this case by either counsel for one of the parties or any documents that you received?
I was not asked, but I was told that if I have some, I should bring them along.
Okay. And the fact that you were here without any, does that mean you don't have any?
I don't have any.
Okay. Let me go back to sort of the beginning of your relationship with the Manitoba County Sheriff's Department. I understand that you were in law enforcement prior to becoming a member of the Manitoba County Sheriff's Department. Is that true? Were you a traffic?
Would you repeat that, please?
Yeah. Were you in traffic before you became a Sheriff's Department member?
No. I was going to teachers college before I became a traffic officer.
Okay. And were you a traffic officer with the Sheriff's Department?
Since 1960, January, yes.
Okay. Before that, were you at teachers college?
Yes.
Okay.
Before I joined the traffic department, I was going to teachers college.
Okay. Now, was there a time at which the traffic department was sort of a separate branch of the sheriff's department or something?
Yes. Manitowoc County was known as the traffic department for many years, and then we became merged with the sheriff's department.
Okay. And do you know about when that was?
No, I have no idea. I don't recall that one.
Okay. But you were there when that happened.
Yes.
And from that point forward, what were the differences between your job responsibilities as they had existed as a traffic department and the way they existed as a part of the sheriff's office?
I did not really notice any difference. I mean, initially we handled all the calls, we made the first contact. And if it was investigative, then it turned over to the investigators.
Okay,
Just to clarify one point, if I may,
please.
when the merger came about was when Tom Kasurik took over the sheriff's department. That I can tell you that much.
Thank you.
So when he was elected sheriff, we merged.
And did your title change or your income change, anything like that? Or was this just sort of an administrative switch?
Well, there was a serious what do you call it?
Wait
When
a
you
second.
yeah.
You jumped.
You
We're
jumped.
on
Line,
page
line,
6, line
line 20,
24.
line 24. Yeah.
I think it was just a name change. It went from traffic department to sheriff's department, and they just brought investigative into the traffic. That would be the extent of it.
Would you interact with other people in the sheriff's department, for example, detectives?
Mr. Pollan, prior to the merger,
Well, after the merger.
How do you mean interact?
Well, have conversations with them about what's going on in the department.
Yes, we did.
And similarly, would there be interaction between the sheriff's department and other law enforcement agencies if they were investigating a matter of common interest?
To be honest with you, I can't answer that question.
Okay. Just because that wasn't in the field that you were dealing with primarily?
That's correct.
Okay.
My field was mostly traffic.
I got it. There came a time, let me back up again. I take it you didn't then have any first-hand investigative responsibilities in the Penny Bernstein sexual assault case in which Stephen Avery was named as a defendant.
I did.
Is that right?
I did not.
Okay. Did you ever talk to other members of the sheriff's department or, for that matter, any other law enforcement officers about this investigation?
Don Bells and I had conversation at one point in time, and that would, other than, just routine conversation, that would be the extent of it.
Okay. Let me ask ask if we can get this marked, please.
Reporter, all right, let's go off the record briefly. Back on the record.
Thank you. Before we get into the exhibit itself, let me establish a little background information. There came a time when you were interviewed by a special agent with the State Department of Justice Criminal Investigation Division. Is that true?
That's correct.
And would that have been around October 7th, 2003?
I don't remember the date, but you're probably right. It could have been.
Okay. Let me show you a document, ask you to take a look at it, and then I'll ask you a couple of questions about it after you've had a chance to review it. And we can go off the record while he's reviewing it.
Off the record? We're back on the record?
During the recess, sir, you took a look at what we'll refer to Exhibit 113 because of the sticker there. Is that true?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Before I show this to you, had you seen this document at any time?
No, I had not.
So no one has ever shown it to you before today?
Nope.
Okay. Do you recall being interviewed by the agent that's described in this report?
Yes, I do.
And do you recall having a conversation with her about the subject matter that's described in the report?
Yes, I did.
Would you go through the report on a sentence-by-sentence basis, please? First, just reading out loud what's written, and then telling me whether you agree with that or don't. And if you don't, what's inaccurate about it?
Where do you want me to start? Way down here where this...
Let's just start with the paragraph, Belkey told Esty Strauss, etc.
Quote, Belkey told Strauss that after the assault, Belkey was told by one of the Manitowoc County Sheriff's deputies that a man was seen in the area where the sexual assault took place at the time the assault took place. End quote.
Okay. Okay. Let me just stop you right there. Is that correct?
That part is correct, yes.
Okay. Could you read the next sentence then?
Sure. Quote, this man observed was known for committing these types of sexual crimes, and he matched the physical description provided by the victim. End quote.
Okay. And is that accurate?
That part is accurate, yes.
Okay. Could you read the next sentence, please?
Quote, Belkey said he believed this individual was from Sheboygan, Wisconsin area. End quote.
Okay. And is that accurate?
That was what was related to me, that he thought he was from Sheboygan.
Okay. Let me keep going and then we'll come back to do some follow-up.
Quote, Belkey said after receiving this information, Belkey immediately went and told the Manitowoc County Sheriff's Department Captain of Detectives, Don Bells. End quote.
Okay. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. Next sentence, please.
Quote, Belkey provided Bells with the same information he had received from the sheriff's deputy. End quote. That's correct.
Yes. Oh, sorry. Okay.
Quote, Bells told Belkey the sheriff's department was not going to bring this individual in for questioning. End quote.
Is that correct?
Yeah, that part is correct. They were not,
Okay.
quote, Bell said he could not do it because the sheriff wanted Stephen Avery convicted of this crime
Oh,
because the description provided by the victim
Oh, boy.
matched Avery's. End quote. Wow.
wow.
That's a
Okay, is that
that
correct?
that's a good pause point. I forgot about
Yeah.
this.
Wow.
I forgot
Wow.
about this. Yeah. Huh. But shh. There you go. Right there. That's it. That's a really interesting thing from Mr. Belkey.
Pretty damning.
It really is.
Wow.
This was said by somebody else too, and oh man, I don't remember which one it was. Um, yeah, I'm
Well,
sure we'll.
like Kasurek said, I don't care if you did this, Stephen. I'm getting you.
I'll
I'm
get
gonna
you.
get you.
I got you now.
Yeah, I got you now.
Yeah, and wouldn't allow him any phone calls either.
Travis wants to know what's he reading from to witness.
It's Exhibit 113, which is the DOJ report. When Strauss and Lehman interviewed him, this is the um, report that was generated that he's never seen before. So he's reading from what they put in that report, the DOJ report, Travis. We actually, like I said, we may have. I'm sure we've got several of these. I don't know if we have this specific one, but there's a bunch of them in that exhibit. So
Susan, they want to repeat answer on line 25?
Sure. Quote, Bales said he could not do it because the sheriff wanted Stephen Avery convicted of this crime because the description provided by the victim matched Avery's. Close quote.
Okay, is that correct?
The word wanted Stephen Avery? No, I did not say that.
Okay.
Not to my knowledge, I did not say that word.
Okay, let's continue then.
Quote, when asked, Belkey said he did not recall who the sheriff's deputy was that provided him with this information, end quote. That's correct. I don't recall which one of my officers gave me the information at the time.
And that's still the case today, I take it.
Yeah, I can't. That's some 20 years.
Sure, I understand. But when you say, quote, which one of your officers, end quote, does that mean it was one of your officer as opposed, for example, another detective?
No, it wasn't any of the detectives.
Okay,
I'm gonna guess,
sure,
which is not a good thing.
that's okay.
That it had to be one of the officers that told me that there was somebody in the area.
Okay, why don't you continue, please?
Quote, Strauss asked Belkey if he knew who Gregory Allen was, and Belkey responded he did not. Close quote. That's correct.
Okay, true then. But I take it as of today, you have some knowledge about who Gregory Allen is.
Only what I read in the newspapers.
Okay,
I do not know this gentleman. I have no knowledge on him.
if you
okay.
knew him, you wouldn't call him gentleman. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, no
Okay.
shit.
Line 12. Line 12.
Okay.
A quote. Strauss then asked Belkey if he had anything to do with the investigation of the assault, and Belkey again responded negatively. End quote. That's correct.
Okay.
Quote. Belkey was asked if he discussed knowing about this man with anyone else. Belkey said he did not. Belkey said he did not discuss this information with Jean Couchet or Sheriff Tom Kasurek. In hindsight, Belkey does not know why he did not go to the sheriff. Belkey believed it could have been that after Bells ignored Belkey's information, Belkey may have felt it was not worth the effort to contact the sheriff. Close quote.
And is that are those sentences accurate?
Yeah, they would be accurate.
Okay. Could I have that exhibit back for a second, please? Let's see. Why don't you continue where you left off, please?
Quote, Belkey told Strauss that when he discussed the issue with Bells, Bells told the sheriff, close quote, quote unquote, Belkey, quote, the sheriff had already contacted the Manitowoc County District Attorney Dennis Vogel. Bells told Belkey the sheriff told the DA not to screw this case up because the sheriff wanted Avery convicted of this crime.
Holy
Close
shit.
quote.
Oh,
That I did
oh.
not say. Yeah,
Wow.
right. They just wrote that down anyway.
Okay, I
Shit.
want to pause right here at line before it nearly starts back on line 12. And I've noticed this before, and a lot of times when Strauss does an interview, look, I can't prove this at all, but a lot of times, actually most of the time in her reports, she does this in some pretty detailed fashion. Does that, I mean, this is me, but does this indicate to you guys that she recorded this interview and then she went back and replayed it? Because this is pretty
Yeah,
detailed.
She
She
did
it
said,
seems
record it.
verbatim to me. Yeah.
Did record it because there is a memo in the in that file, in the DOJ file, one of the copies we have, there's a memo where she destroyed her tapes. Yep.
I'm going to ask for them anyway.
Wow.
Yep.
I'm going to ask for them anyway. I'm going to request all the interviews, audio interviews from these this investigation. They should
Good
have these.
idea.
I doubt I'm like Christina.
Should.
I do remember that. She definitely destroyed her notes and so forth. I do remember that. I'm going to ask for them anyway. It'd be really interesting to listen to the actual interview itself. But I
Oh,
swear,
Yeah.
I just don't see how she could make such a detailed report without it being recorded. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I just don't. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jinx in chat says, if Deb couldn't get this investigation right, why would she be the one to investigate holdbacks?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no doubt. That's a great question, Jinx.
Oh,
All right.
she got this one right. She got all the, the proof. It just didn't come out in the end.
Correct. All right. Neverly, line 12.
Okay. What part of that did you not say?
Where he wanted Avery convicted of the crime. That word, quote unquote, wanted is a very, in my estimation, bad word.
Okay. And why don't you continue, please?
Okay, quote. Belkey stated he also contacted Arland Avery, Steve Avery's uncle, and a member of the sheriff's department. Belkey tried to encourage Avery to contact the sheriff to tell the sheriff there may be another suspect. Belkey said Avery refused to get involved in the investigation. End quote. That is correct.
Okay.
Quote. Belkey suggested Special Agent Strauss contact Vern Clement at his home phone number. Belkey stated Clement was the chief deputy at the sheriff's department at this time, and he may have additional information, close quote. And that's correct. Want me to read the last sentence too?
I don't think so.
Additional information?
Okay. Let me come back and follow up on some of these things. The business about being told that the individual is from the Sheboygan area, again, is it fair to say that your source for all the information that you say is accurately described here would have been this unknown person whom you believe was probably one of your officers? Or did you get that information from more than one person?
No, it's if it came from anybody, it came from one of my officers. Would have been the only one I heard from.
Okay. And did you ever hear that information repeated by anyone else other than this one officer?
No.
When you got the information, you went right to Bell's with it, essentially. Is that right?
Yes. He was in charge of the detectives, and he was my superior at the time, and it was my position to go to him.
And when you talked to Mr. Bells, you gave him the same information you had received from the person that gave the information to you, right?
Yes.
Did you do any separate investigation on your own? Talk to anybody else? Look at any documents? Do anything at all?
No, I was not a member of the investigating team, and I had my own responsibilities at that point in times to the traffic department.
So your theory was that you would carry out your responsibilities by going to Bells, who's the head of the unit that was responsible, right?
I guess that would be the proper procedure to follow.
Okay. And when you went to Bells, Bells didn't say, quote, well, no, you got to follow another procedure. You can't talk to me, end of quote. I mean, he took your information, correct?
Yes.
And he also said to you, though, that they would not bring in this individual for a questioning.
Mr. Pollan, I'm going to object to the form of the question, use of the word they.
You may answer.
Well, what was explained is they had the identification, and I guess they weren't going to go any further.
Sure. That is, they had the identification of Steve Avery, right?
Yeah, with the witness, the victim. Yes.
Right. And since she had said that it was Avery, that was good enough for them, and they were going to pursue that suspect.
Mr. Cavalli objects.
Is that correct?
I
Mr. Cavalli, to the form.
can't answer that question.
Mr. Mayor, form and foundation.
Because I'm not part of that. I can't answer that part.
Okay. Just in terms of what he said, what Bell said to you was that Steve Avery has been identified, and that's what they are sticking with, correct?
I guess.
Okay. I mean, certainly that was the impression you came away. I mean, obviously you don't remember the exact words today,
That's correct.
but that is the impression that you walked away with from that conversation.
At that time? Yes.
Sure. Okay. And let's see. I know that you have a problem with the word wanted, quote unquote, with respect to, for example, the sheriff wanted Stephen Avery convicted of this crime because the description provided by the victim matched Avery's, right? Is it correct that you believe that sentence is accurate, but for the word wanted, quote unquote? And I can give it back to you if you'd like. It's near the bottom of the page.
Yeah, I would say it's pretty accurate.
Okay. And
Except they weren't out to convict him. I mean, they believed they had the right person at the time.
And because they believed they had the right person at the time, they weren't interested in pursuing other suspects at the time, correct?
I can't answer that.
Mr. Pollan, I'm going to object to Mr. Mayor. Form and foundation, Mr. Pollan. Wait a minute. I'm going to object to the form of the question. Again, use of the word they. Go ahead, sir.
I can't answer that question.
Well, based on what he said, what would your answer be?
You want to repeat it first?
Sure. Based on what Captain Bell said, did you believe that the detectives involved with investigating the Penny Bernstein assault believed that the description they had received from the victim fit Stephen Avery, that they had their suspect, and that they, meaning the sheriff's department officers involved in this, were not interested in pursuing other suspects?
Mr. Cavalli object to the form of the question like a foundation.
Mr. Mayor, join.
I can't answer that honestly. You're asking me to believe what they believed. I don't know what they believed.
No. What I'm really asking is, based on what they said to you, what?
Based on what they said to me, they weren't going to pursue it because,
Wait, excuse me.
sorry,
Um, uh, Mr. Cavalli, I object to the form of the question, quote unquote, they. There's no testimony more than one person spoke to him.
Okay, you're allowed to answer.
based on what Don Bells told me, I assumed they weren't going any further based on the investigation that had taken place.
Okay. And when you say not going any further, you mean not considering any other suspect. Is that correct?
They
Mr. Bascom, object to the form. Go ahead.
believed they had the right person at the time.
And as a consequence of believing they had the right person at the time, they were not interested in pursuing additional suspects at the time, correct?
Mr. Mayor, objection to foundation. Mr. Pollan, I join in that.
I can't answer what they believed, sir.
Well, I know. And I'm not asking you to be a mind reader. I'm asking you to tell me what you drew from what they said, okay? I mean, because obviously today, 20 years later, you don't remember the exact words that were said between yourself and Mr. Bells, true?
No, I don't.
Okay. But you do know that you generally try to give him the same information you had received from somebody that you today think, as your best guess, was probably one of the officers that reported to you, correct?
This is correct.
And Bells responded in a way that said that the sheriff's office, that he, Bells, would not bring in this individual for questioning because the sheriff, and we'll get rid of the word wanted, quote unquote, Steve Avery convicted of this crime because the description provided by the victim matched Avery's, right? I mean, that's your recollection, correct?
Mr. Mayor, can I hear the question again?
Reporter, off the record briefly. Okay, we replayed the previous question. We're back on the record.
Mr. Cavalli, object to the form.
Mr. Mayor, join.
You'll have to answer.
I have to answer?
Yes.
What am I going to answer? Well, let me put it this way. Based on this investigation that they had conducted at that time and the eyewitness report, they figured that they had the right person. And I guess that's where the investigation ended.
Okay.
I was not part of the investigating team.
I understand.
I don't know what they did after that.
I understand and I appreciate that. I mean, I know that you were not involved in this investigation, true?
True.
Okay. All that you were doing was taking information that had been provided to you by someone that you thought was a reliable source, true?
That is correct.
And gave it to the person you thought would have most responsibility for investigating that, if he chose to, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Let me give you the exhibit back again and invite your attention to the highlighted portion. And let me make sure I understand what is being said there. One of the things that Captain Bell said to you was that Sheriff Kosurek had already gone to the district attorney.
That's correct.
On this very information, that is, on the question of the existence of another suspect.
Mr. Cavalli, objection to the form, foundation.
You can answer.
I don't know if he went on. I don't know if he went on another suspect, but apparently he went and discussed the case, and I don't know what transpired.
Okay. But what did Bells tell you according to the report that you made to the agents?
Well, He said he went to the sheriff and talked to the district attorney and that he didn't want Dennis to screw the case up.
That would be Dennis Vogel, right? Okay.
Yes,
That's correct.
based on the evidence that they were presenting.
And is that basically what Bells had told you?
Yes.
Okay. And at the time, and again, I mean, I accept your earlier statement about having a dispute with the word wanted, quote unquote, right?
Yes, you did.
I mean, that word wanted appears here as well. And that's,
Yes.
I understand that's not a word that you're comfortable with in this report, true?
Well, it implies he's going out of his way to convict somebody.
Sure. And I mean, it sounds to you as though it's almost like saying he's going to try to frame somebody. Is that your concern about it?
That's my concern. Sorry. That's perfect timing there. That's what the word would imply. Yes.
Sure. And that's not what you intended to communicate to the agents, true?
I don't recall saying that word.
Yeah. And whether you know the word or not, I mean, that though this is a frame up, is not something you were trying to communicate to the agents who interviewed you, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And it also indicates that you suggested that these folks talked to Vern Clement. Is that right?
Yes, I did say that.
And why did you suggest him?
He was the chief deputy, second in command.
All right. So would he essentially be just a little but lower than Bells would have been?
No, he was over Bells.
Over Bells. Okay. So he's a logical person to talk to under this circumstance if you're looking for someone who is involved in the investigation.
Well, Vern was more or less, he knew everybody in the department. He got along with everybody, and maybe they said something to him. I don't know.
Okay. And it wasn't because you had information that Vern Clement knew anything. It's just that he was in a position where he could have known.
That's correct.
And you were just simply suggesting him as a person that they might possibly want to talk to.
I'm not saying could have. I'm just saying he might have known something.
Sure. Okay. That's the way things were back in 1985 when you had this conversation with Don Bells, correct?
Yes.
And when did you retire from the department?
January of 1990.
Okay. And have you followed the Burns and Avery case since then? I mean, read about it in papers, talked about it with people, that kind of thing.
Only what I read in the paper.
Have you not had any conversation about the case with anybody from the sheriff's department or the sheriff himself?
No.
How about with
Sure.
anyone else? Any other law enforcement officers, for example?
Not that I can recall having anything.
Did you ever hear anything in the 1985 time range of a person named Gregory Allen being under investigation by the Manitoba City Police Department?
Nope, I hadn't.
I take it today you know that name.
Everything was in the paper, and that's where I got my information from as far as Mr. Allen goes. I never knew him before or after.
You anticipated my question. Prior to reading Mr. Allen's name in the newspaper, had you ever seen his name in print or heard his name discussed by anyone?
Nope, I had not.
I don't want to have to break this down into a lot of categories, but I want to ask a broad question, and if this doesn't work, then I'll come back and break it up, okay? From the time that Mr. Avery was exonerated as a consequence of DNA analysis, have you had any conversations, not what you read in the paper, but any verbal conversations with anybody about the case?
Pertaining Pertaining to prior to his conviction or after he was exonerated, you say?
Yes. Yes.
Just what I read in the paper was discussed.
Okay. And with whom was that discussed?
That's a broad question.
Best effort. I know.
Immediate family. I might have said something to Jean Cachet at one time. Who's the
Oh.
gentleman that did the composite?
The
Did
tracing.
he did he come around to talk to you about this case?
Who, Jane?
Yeah.
No.
At any time after 1985?
No.
In particular in the 1995-96 range?
No.
And again, in particular in the 2000 range?
No. No.
Okay. So,
I don't see Gene that often, sir.
okay. So no conversations with him about the case at all until possibly after the exoneration of Mr. Avery had occurred.
Yeah, that would be correct.
Okay. And then it doesn't sound like it was a very detailed conversation, just somebody you might have ran into and talked about it.
That's correct.
Anybody else from Sheriff's Department?
No.
Anybody else from Manitowoc City Police Department?
No, I never discussed anything with Manitowoc City PD.
Okay. Anybody from the DA's office?
Nope.
How about any lawyers involved in this case?
No.
Okay.
If I may correct, when you asked about lawyers, Amy Doyle spoke to me, but we didn't discuss it that much.
Okay. When did that happen?
Probably a week ago when she told me we were going to have a deposition
Did she talk to you by phone or in person?
in person.
Did she show you any documents?
Nope.
Did she read to you from any documents?
No.
Did she attempt to summarize any documents?
No.
Okay. And when you talked to her, was there anyone else present?
Just her and I.
Okay. And that was just essentially trying to let you know what goes on in a deposition and what was happening here?
Yeah, that would be correct, sir.
Okay. At the time you got the information that you did from someone that you believe may be an officer who reported to you, did you make any record of that? That is, did you make a note of it, make an entry in a memo, anything at all?
No, I did not.
And do you know why the person gave the information to you as opposed to giving it to somebody else in the sheriff's department?
I'm just going to eliminate. If it was one of my officers, chain of command, it came to me next.
Okay.
And then I went up the ladder.
And did that person make any request to keep his or her identity secret or anything like that?
No. If I knew who it was, I'd tell you, sir.
Yeah. It's just a matter of passage of time. You're not able to put it together today.
Nope.
Do you remember, did Captain Bells ask you who the source of the information was?
I can't recall. I don't think so, but I can't recall if he did or he did not. But I don't think so.
I mean,
Yeah,
if
right.
he would have, yeah, right. I mean, if he would have, that would have been within hours of your having received the information, correct?
Yes.
And you certainly would have remembered who the source was that at the time.
I don't remember, sir.
Yeah, but I mean, based on your own mental state back in 1985 and your own mental health condition, if somebody told you something 24 hours earlier and you were reporting it to a superior officer, you'd probably be able to remember who it was that gave you the information, right?
Yes, I would have then, yes.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, let's go off the record. We're back on the record, Mr. Bascom.
Okay, before Bascom reads, there's a little interesting exchange there. I mean, this guy Belkey, I mean, he's clearly, I'm going to guess,
Evasive.
well, a bit, but he was still, open enough to say, he talked to these other officers and these other things that were said.
Yeah, he's
So,
just not willing to give any names.
no, absolutely
Or
not.
Yeah.
or admit that he knew Gregory Allen.
Correct.
Yep. True that. Hmm.
So
Yep.
I do find it interesting that Kasurik is the spearhead to to umbrella all of these agencies under the sheriff's department. And he was a money driven guy. Like that was his motive, right? For everything he did had a more power for him and a bigger bank account motive.
Financial
Mhm.
angle, I guess.
Enrichment.
Yep,
Yeah.
he wanted to be exalted in society, and he wanted power, and he wanted control and money. And do y'all remember that I found that it's so odd how these things just make sense once you recognize like these little nuggets like that. So his parents owned a farm actually not far from Teresa's house. And they had to file bankruptcy back in the either late 50s, I think it was like 1958.
I
And there was
remember that.
Wait a
huge
second. Who are we talking about?
Tom,
Kasorik's parents.
yeah.
Who?
And so
Tom
I
Kasorik's
didn't.
parents.
Sponsor. Oh, okay. Yeah.
he was like 14 or 15 at the time, which is a critical age for like emotional stability development and, just kind of what like your more moral character. And there was this huge ad taken out in the Manitowoc newspaper: foreclosure, family farm, everything must go. And I find it interesting that there's that. Like that was his only mention prior to him going to Votech and marrying his first wife, whose name was Penny, if I remember correctly. And then, he ends up being a sheriff and basically running this town for 20 years. And I wonder if that wasn't kind of like an embarrassing moment for him that kind of just helped steer him.
Solidify. Yeah.
Yeah, like steer who he was going to be as an adult.
And I think we also should mention you gave a good accounting of his past. And if I'm remembering right, he was at the city police before he left there and went and became sheriff when he ran for sheriff. He was a
Yeah,
city cop. So he
yeah,
he knew Bergner and all those people in this uh, city department.
yeah. And
He
not
had
just,
to know Gregory Allen, who
Oh yeah.
he was. Come on.
and there's only
Yeah.
one jail for that whole area, and he ran it. And it is protocol that the sheriff look at the jail roster every day, look at the
Right.
criminals that are
Yeah.
running amok in his county. And Gregory Allen was like he
Frequent
made
flyer.
he made Stephen Avery look like chump change, right? Because
Oh, like a choir boy.
he's stealing teenagers' bathing suits, stalking 12 and 13-year-old girls.
Frequent creepster.
Yeah, he was off the chain.
Yeah.
Off the chain. And one other thing I want to mention, and then I'll shut up. So, it just clicked for me. You know how we have in 95, 96, Couché doing those bizarre interviews.
I remember it well. That's a
Yeah,
fantastic find that you got on that one. Fantastic.
So, you know who hailed? If I gotta verify, but if I recall correctly, you know who was from Sheboygan or
Who?
who ties to Sheboygan, and by this time had already been convicted of a sexual assault and a murder, Randall Matea. So I
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I wonder if they weren't going to try and use him as a plan B, and they didn't know enough about DNA at that time, or didn't know enough about how the appeals process worked to realize that they couldn't swap out the DNA with Randall's. But I find it interesting that they create this Sheboygan, charade, yet we never get a name and we never get anything but just like enough to make it exist, right?
Yeah.
And Randall Matea has ties to Sheboygan. Either he was from Sheboygan or the judge he robbed when he was like 17. He robbed a judge's house, which is how he got on the cops' radar. The judge was from Sheboygan. I'll have to double check that. But I wonder if that wasn't like if that wasn't plan A, kind of like how Cuss Road was plan A for Teresa's murder.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
We're missing too much.
Yep.
Yeah, damn it.
Yep, but
Yeah.
not as much as we were before, dadgummit.
That's right.
True dat. True dat.
You know
All
what
right,
I
Mr.
also wonder?
So,
How much training did they get, like Cherie Cocaine in particular, on DNA back in the 80s? I know that it's a question that we cannot answer. But in the 80s, like O.J. Simpson wasn't it like the first case that they used DNA in court?
It was in the 90s, OJ. So the 80s, like mid 80s, I don't think it was just being discovered, kind of thing.
well,
Yeah.
it seemed like it was 84, 85, but it took like a year to develop a DNA profile, and they had to have a huge amount. And then
Yeah.
I can't remember. It was some foreign scientist or whatever, I think, that refined that process, and it shortened the time frame and the amount that they needed by far less. And I think it was more towards the later 80s that it became something that was viable, and then of course, improvements continued. But my guess is, to answer your question, Everly, and probably Doc would be the better one to really ask, if your focus really wasn't in that, you had some training in biologicals, yada yada yada, that they would have to go back and get retrained and certified for that. Not necessarily
Cherry Culhane was looking at hairs and bite
yeah,
marks and
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
She's
because DNA is not like something that you can get a 8-hour course.
no,
Yeah.
You know,
no.
people go to school for that for like 10 years.
Well, it depends on the depth of their field of study, and absolutely. So that's a good question.
Travis,
Yeah,
I don't
because
know why
how
you
the
feel
hell
like
would you
we're saying
know?
there's like 200 people involved in this conspiracy. No, no,
No,
no,
No,
no.
no, no.
There's people that go along with what they're told
There's people
But-
that have been cutting corners
and
for
have no freaking clue. Just
Yeah.
do what they're told. They're not
Yeah,
involved in the conspiracy. There's
right.
only a
put her in
very
the
small
trailer
core
or
group of people.
yeah.
Yeah.
that
But when
knew
you get a direction, like put her in the trailer on the garage, what do? You don't?
Yeah, I have to agree that that's what we talked about before. In reality, I think it was a very few amount of people that knew really what was going on. Everyone else
Yep.
was just told what to do, and they didn't question
Yep.
it. It's just another case.
They were
didn't.
led where to go. Do
Yeah.
this, do that,
Yep.
Yeah.
And they're used to taking orders and following them and not question it.
Mhm.
Move on.
Mhm.
Because they always
Yeah,
have another case.
and
Like
they had
like
mortgages and other bills
like
to
this
pay,
guy
so you
here
just
that we're
hold it.
talking about, Bill, what's his name? Bilkey.
Bilkey?
Yeah,
He wasn't involved. He just
peripheral.
yeah, he made a report, didn't
Yep,
take it any further. He heard from an officer, he reported up the line, and
he
didn't
was
go any
done.
further.
That's right.
Yeah.
He didn't go investigate, and he sounds like he's being evasive, but relatively truthful.
How does it
So
go? I don't know shit. I didn't see shit. I didn't hear shit.
there you go.
Well,
Yeah, he
they
goes
don't
on like
want
this.
to
That
Yeah.
is the attitude.
they don't want to implicate anyone in anything, you know.
No, and it's an us versus them mentality. And that's popped all over America, not just Wisconsin.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? That it's been like that for decades. It is for sure. I would rather lie for a cop than tell the truth for a crook.
But
And they're
it's still for the line. No, you're fine. It's still for the line cop. The and I mean line LINE, not lying.
The thin blue
Y-
one,
I'm sorry.
the thin blue one,
Yeah,
thin blue line.
the thin. Yeah, but what I'm saying is, this is a job for I'm going to guess the majority of police officers. Um, even if some of them, we still have that mentality of us versus them, but it's still they do what they're told. They don't question it. That's what they're used to. It's a chain of command, and they follow it. They don't go any further. So as far as a conspiracy, honestly, Travis, my personal opinion, I used to think, man, God, there's all these people that know all this shit that's going on. I don't believe that at all. I believe it was very, very few, very few, and there was only one or two, probably with the conception of this, that really knew everything. That's my opinion.
Yeah,
I
and
don't,
who
go,
could stand up to Kotsurek? If your sheriff tells you do something, what are you gonna do? Not to?
that's right. Not that guy. That guy had a lot of juice in Manitowoc County, and these people relied on their job to pay the bills, just like the rest of us. It's just another job for a paycheck.
Yeah, exactly. And then when you go to court or deposition or whatever, you stick with what you know, you simplify it, you answer with yes or no, and you recall policy and procedures and protocols whenever you can.
Right. That's exactly right. All right. Let's. We've only got about probably less than 10 pages to finish it. Let's knock this out so we'll be done with it. Everybody ready?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is Mr. Bascom, one of the other side, state lawyers or whatever, whoever they're representing, state, county, whatever. So, all right, line 13. During the investigation back in 1985, do you know whether or not Captain Bells was involved in that investigation?
I do not know. I mean, he was the captain of the detectives, and I do not know how much he was involved.
And do you know whether or not, in the course of their investigation into the Penny Bernstein sexual assault, whether or not the sheriff's department actually investigated other possible suspects?
I don't. I have no knowledge of that.
Fine, that's all I have. And now, Mr. Covelli, sir, I have just a question or two.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah,
Um,
hold on.
yeah, it's you.
Yeah, okay. Line 3. Whoever this person was that talked to you, it was not someone that said that they were witness to the assault, correct? This officer didn't say, I saw the assault, and it was so and so and so and so.
No, they were not a witness or anything to that effect.
And that officer did not give you the basis for the information that he was conveying to you, who the source was.
No.
And this related to somebody apparently who lived in the city of Sheboygan, Wisconsin.
Well, the information I had received from the individual officer was that there was a gentleman in the immediate area that resembled Steve Avery at the time. They thought he was on a boat and they thought he came from Sheboygan area.
And exactly what the basis for that information was, you do not know.
Nope,
And you probably never knew, correct?
I did not.
Now, we've been asking questions about a conversation that occurred over 20 years ago. Is that correct?
That's correct.
You don't know when that conversation took place, true?
Specifically, no.
Okay.
I would assume it was on my duty hours.
All right. But whether it took place before or after the trial of Mr. Avery, you don't know that, true?
No, I don't remember.
Whether it can occur before or after his conviction or sentencing, you don't know, true?
I'm going to say I can't recall exactly.
Sure. But you did remember discussing this information with Arlen Avery.
Yes,
And did you discuss it with Arlen Avery's family, close in time to
fairly close.
I'm sorry,
Not family.
Arlen Avery, fairly close in time to when you first got the information?
I believe I did, yeah. It was shortly after that it passed down, and I think I then told I told Arlen, I said, quote, "You should do something about it," end quote.
Thank you, sir.
By Mr. Mayor. I have just a few questions, sir. When Mr. Glenn asked you some questions, he referred to the source of the information as a reliable source in one of his questions. My question, however, is a little different. Whether the information you were provided was reliable or not reliable in terms of its accuracy, you have no idea. Is that fair?
You want to bring that back again?
Sure. You're telling us today that you were provided some information from the officer that you worked with, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. You don't know the source of that information, meaning where that officer got that information from, whether it was firsthand or secondhand, or how he obtained it, correct?
That's correct.
And you therefore don't know how reliable or accurate that information was that he was in turn providing to you, fair?
That's a good assumption. Yes.
Okay. And likewise, it's been hinted at, but was never asked of you whether that same information or similar information had already been considered or investigated or acquired in some fashion by the sheriff's department.
That's true.
Had you ever acquired such information before or since? Strike that. Let me restate it. May I assume that when you're working as a police officer, you likely encounter all kinds of information and evidence as a part of your job, some of which you may be pertinent to other cases, some of which may be pertinent to other cases that may be handled by the sheriff's department or police department.
Yes.
Okay. And it comes from lots of different sources, some of which are reliable and some of which aren't reliable, correct?
You probably got that. Yes. I'll agree with you there.
Okay. And sometimes you pass it on and sometimes you don't pass it on, correct?
Depending upon the belief, if it's reliable or not reliable, yes.
Sure. And other people have passed information on to you, haven't they, when you were a police officer?
Yes.
Some of which you utilized and some of which you figured you didn't need to utilize for various reasons. Fair?
That's fair.
Okay. I have nothing else.
I have a little bit of follow-up.
Okay.
Let me again invite your attention to the second page of Exhibit 113 and the portion that's highlighted in yellow. And I'd ask you to read that. Keep in mind the question that you were asked by one of the lawyers for the defendants, in this case concerning the timing of your reporting to Mr. Bells, and whether or not you know if it was before the trial or after the trial, okay? Have you had a chance to look at that paragraph?
Yep.
Okay. That paragraph talks about your discussing this with Mr. Belts, and Belts saying that he knew that Kosurek had gone to the DA and said, don't screw this up, because he didn't want to lose this case, correct?
Correct.
That means it happened before trial, doesn't it?
Mr. Covelli, objection that
That's correct.
he denied that that was accurate.
No, he didn't.
Object to the form of the question.
He's already answered it. Let's see. With respect to the source of the information for you, I think you've already established in response to this lawyer's questions that if you think information is simply not reliable, you don't bother to waste your other officers' time with it, correct?
I think it's not reliable. Yes.
And I mean, he asked you about sometimes you report it, sometimes you don't. If you don't think it's reliable, you don't report it, essentially. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Did you ever go back to the crime scene in the Bernstein matter?
No.
Are you aware of any other officer ever going back there?
I have no knowledge of it.
Okay. And specifically, you have no knowledge of the person who gave you the information that you gave to Captain Bells ever being summoned back to the crime scene as part of the investigation?
I don't know who the person was that passed the information on. I can't say if he was there or not at that point in time. I don't know who it was anymore.
Okay. That's all I have. Thanks.
Mr. Covelli, I'm sorry. Now I have to ask a question, but maybe I wasn't listening. Mr. Covelli, looking at the second page of your statement, do you have that in front of you still? The paragraph that is the fourth from the end, second sentence, it says, quote, Bells told Belkey, the sheriff told, end quote. Do you see that sentence?
Yes.
Okay. And I thought you said that you did not agree, but I'm going to ask again so the record is clear. Do you agree with or disagree with the statement, quote, Bells told Belkey, the sheriff told the DA not to screw it up. Not to screw up this case because the sheriff wanted Avery convicted of this crime, end quote. Is that something you said?
It's something I didn't say. No. He told that Bells told me.
No. First, just answer is that what you said to the investigator?
Is what you said?
The sentence I just read.
Every word in the sentence? I mean, what?
Let me.
The witness has already answered this.
I'll rephrase the question. Did you tell the investigators these words? Quote, Bells told Belkey, the sheriff told the DA not to screw this case up because the sheriff wanted Avery convicted of this crime, end quote. Is that what you said?
Nope. I did not say he wanted them screwed up or wanted Avery convicted. He went over to see him. He didn't want the district attorney to screw the case up.
And can the case be screwed up after the conviction as well as before?
That's a good question.
All right, that's all I have.
Okay, there being no,
Okay, thanks.
all right, there being no further question, the deposition is concluded at 2:20 p.m. off the record.
And there's the index, as I always show. That is the end of that deposition. So I'll
I
first want to thank.
Hold on. I find that answer to his last question very telling. Can the case be screwed up after as well as before?
Well, sure it can.
Yep, that's a good question.
It really is.
So they were, the point of contention was, did they say did Kosurik say, I don't want the district attorney or Vogel to screw this case up? Or did he say that in addition, and I want to convict Avery? So this is like a loaded question.
It really is a loaded question. They should have broke it down and been more clear. Looks like we've had a little bit of conversation. Alice, are you still with us? Still awake?
Yeah, just Jack, just.
I know it's late as hell for you. Have you seen anything that any questions or whatever before we get out of here?
Yeah, Travis has said a few things. Let me just get to it. The problem is that even if one or two people, it still means numerous people are lying in reports or in testimony that someone told them to do it.
Well, I can't necessarily disagree with that. You know, and we're really talking about the 85 case. And, you know, there are a lot of inherent problems already, 85 versus 2005, because, well, number one, we don't have the entire case file. That's number one. We got pieces and parts, but, and I think that, you know, from a communication standpoint, we have, and I'm talking about audio and certainly very, very little, if any, video. That creates another problem. So, I mean, for us looking at, and from our side looking in,
what we do have is fabricated reports by Dvorak implicating Stephen Avery in a crime that the witness Dvorak claimed gave her that information, emphatically said that conversation never happened. She did not tell her that information.
Yeah, that's Ramona. That's Ramona, right? Yeah, we're going to get to hers. Hers is September or October. It's coming.
So there is conclusive evidence verified by witnesses under oath that make it clear they created evidence to sell a story that Stephen Avery was capable of committing this crime.
Christina, don't we also have we've got some of Conrad's reports too, don't we?
Yeah, I was trying to find a few things for you to kind of share, but my internet's being wonky as usual. Plus I'm on the phone and not on my iPad or anything.
Right.
But so do these two depositions prove it? No.
No.
But it is Travis is the attorney, but it is the preponderance of evidence, right? It's not a slam dunk video recording, but it is multiple depositions that make it clear that Vogel and Kosurik
they were going to nail Avery. They were going to nail Avery. No doubt about it.
Ignored and pampered Gregory Allen because we have multiple witnesses saying that Gregory Allen was a frequent flyer and had closed door meetings with Vogel while under indictment. We have Vogel writing a letter to the Manitowoc Police Department on Gregory Allen's behalf, trying to get him off. Remember that?
Yep.
We have what else we have? We have the detective that named Stephen Avery to Penny Burnson, said that sounds like Stephen Avery to me, creating reports making Stephen Avery look capable of committing a heinous crime like this.
Well, we also have an officer that was directed to bring a number of photographs. We don't have the details of that conversation, but clearly there was a stack of photographs brought to Sheriff Kosurik at the hospital, remember?
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that was Sandra Morris's husband, right?
That's right.
Bill Morris.
Yep. Let's see, what else do we got? We got
Well, we got the fact that somebody said the description matched Stephen Avery and they never followed through. They just took it at face value and went after him. We also have that Kosurek feels so comfortable and so dominant that he went to the district attorney, wanting to make sure that that same said district attorney doesn't screw this up. Well, it should be the other way around, if you ask me.
Well, it should. Actually, the district attorney come and saying, "Look, you give me what I need. Don't screw this up because we got to get this guy." Yeah, it's backwards.
That would be the other way around. Yeah. Not a sheriff going to the district attorney.
Yeah, we've got Ali's softball life has joined us in chat. Hi, Ali, nice to see you. She says, at the end of the day, they wanted to solve a case. Then if you have a little pressure on you, like a lawsuit, it's not that far off a leap to try and secure a conviction, regardless of it's the actual murderer or not.
Well, that's in reference to that's in reference to the case that's upcoming, to Teresa's case. But remember, this is in reference to the 85 case. And notice that these lawyers at the end, I mean, it wasn't a lot, but they're all trying to basically make Gregory Allen a ghost.
Yep. And Travis, we have Gregory Allen sitting on they're hiding an indictment and an arrest warrant for Gregory Allen.
That's right.
Yeah. And Travis. Sorry, Christina, on you go.
No, you're fine.
Travis says 100%, 100% correct. Not a far leap to secure a conviction. When this deposition and the previous occurred, August, Marie's mother had made an allegation to MTSO that Stephen had sexually assaulted Marie.
Yeah, it wasn't just Stephen either. I'm not going to say the name of who the other person was, but that's right. Travis is correct.
Yeah, and Travis has said it, and I mean that's a good point as well. I mean, with that one that we've just read, he says he seemed to only deny that he wanted to convict. With that, with the deposition that we've just read, and him saying that the statement is inaccurate, what I picked up for that is the rest of the statement was accurate apart from the word wanted.
Correct.
You know.
That's why I want the audio. If Strauss and Lehman recorded these, I want to hear it.
Yeah. But could he just be try to cover his own arse? Because I mean, in my honest opinion, him turning around and saying that he doesn't know which officer it was that came and told him.
He knows.
Yeah.
He knows.
I think he's protecting that person.
Knows.
Yeah.
He was the officer there for, what did he say? For the 70s right the way up to the 90s, you know what I mean? So you're damn right he's going to know every officer under his command.
Of course he's going to know.
But you know what I mean?
But I could see how they protect each other and why they don't say that. It just, if nothing else, it looks horrible for the department. And then, he's the bad guy. So he will never do that. And if he was in a position of any sort, it's almost like, I don't know if his obligation, but it's his job not to do that. To throw somebody under the bus.
Right. That's exactly right. Yeah, he's somebody that many people report to. So his officer, he wants to protect them, and I get that. I do. But,
me too.
We're going to be heading into a time frame. Let me pull this up here. If I still got it open. Let's see if I can get this on screen here.
They just want to neutralize their faults. You know what I mean?
Travis says those two AG's investigators said their routine was to record all interviews.
Yeah. Oh no, they recorded it because there's a memo in the file when she destroyed it. I think she destroyed it in like 04, like 4 months after the investigation was complete, which makes no sense to me. There should be a minimum 1-year retention policy. I do find it interesting. I think this is what Travis alluded to, or it might have just clicked and made me think of it. So they created a Stephen sexually assaulted a 12-year-old police report, right, for 1985. And then they did the same thing in 2005 with Marie. They created that whole, Stephen as a what would you call that? Because how old was she? 16, 17, and they're claiming that So, and there's no evidence of that either. Now, Candy claimed she had evidence, but when it came time to produce it, of course, there was none. And
there was none.
No, and the only thing we've ever seen that supposedly that I think are these pictures that Marie spoke of. Wow, that just clicked too. You remember the pictures the Gilter dropped about a year ago on Facebook?
Yeah, they cropped it. They cropped the photo.
I think
Oh yeah.
I think those are the pictures that Candy claimed to have. I think that was the quote evidence.
Yeah, the long and the short of it, which was really nothing at all.
No, because not only was it not any kind of sexual assault, there were other people present. It was just a stupid, dumb country people drunk game. If that.
There was at least 2 other people in there, the person taking the picture and the person standing there watching the entire thing. So, it was really bad. It
Bad
was really
taste,
bad.
yeah.
Absolutely. But anyway,
trying to make a big thing about that though, Jack, because he was in his skivvies. You know what I mean? Was he not in like his underpants or something like that? And the photos.
But anyone who's known anybody who's been to prison knows that's how they sleep in prison because there ain't no AC. They sleep in their boxers. And plus, most people sleep in their boxers anyway.
That's right. Or their whitey tatties.
Avery was wearing underwear by this time. Back in 85, he didn't wear any.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. That they tried to make it look scuzzy because he was in his underpants. I mean, to me, all that photo shows is that
they were goofing around.
Nothing sexual. They were carrying on. To me, it looks like she could have said something really cheeky to him about what you doing in your skivvies or something like that, and he's ran over and went, yeah, cheeky wee shit, you know what I mean? And kind of went to grab her or be like, don't you be cheeky to me, you fucking wee shit, you know what I mean? Carrying on, joking. And they've tried to make something scuzzy and nefarious and everything like that out here, you know what I mean? When there could be a complete innocent answer.
I wonder if this is going to be shown convicting. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're fine. I don't know. I think it's going to be a character assassination event, but we'll see.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see what they do. But before we get out of here, I wanted to point out where we are. We've got Bev Badker coming up, and we also got, this is the longest one right here. This is going to be a long one. We may even have to split it in two because the one for Brenda Peterson is, I think it's 200. I think it's close to. It's an all-day event. She was there for a long time, hours. So we'll have to take that. Probably it may involve 2 parts. I don't know. She clearly had a lot. She either had a clear lot to say, or our lawyer spent a lot of time arguing, which they probably did. It's been too long since I read her. I don't remember. But then coming up in September, we have David Dvorak, which that's Judy's husband, or maybe did they divorce? I can't remember, Christina. Well, Christina
I
might
think,
not be.
no, I'm here. Can you not hear me?
Yeah, I can now.
Yeah, they divorced.
Yeah, okay. And then we have,
She married a Yonda, remember?
yeah, I do remember. We have Greasebach, got Mark Rohr, Part 2, as I mentioned earlier, and then this Vernon Clement that got mentioned. Remember? This Vernon Clement got mentioned.
That's gonna. I don't think I've read that one, so that'll be a good one.
Yeah. So those are upcoming as we get them scattered in. I'm not going to do this every week. Next week, I'm going to be going back to the dispatch calls, radio transmissions, and so forth. But I do want to get these read because they're interesting. To me, they're interesting. Because I'm interested in the entire thing, not just bits and pieces and the drive by. I want to know the details and the connections. So, okay.
I have a question.
Yep.
Oh, go ahead.
Now go ahead.
First thing I wanted to note that Mr. Belkey died in March. I posted his obituary in the office, but my question is, back when Glenn was questioning him, he said, well, I think they were talking about Jean Couché maybe, and they said, did you talk to him around 95, 96? And I assumed that was when Couché had that report. I guess, he interview some of them at that time?
That's when it was done. It was done in 96.
96, yeah. He interviewed three detectives, I think it was, or three officers. I don't remember if they were all three detectives or not.
It was Conrad. Was Belkey one of them?
I know that was.
I know it was Conrad.
Yeah, and Fred Nicholson.
And Nicholson. I don't remember I don't remember if it was Belkey.
No,
but that's
there's a third one.
Good catch, Cherie.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. But I also wondered, then he asked him again about around 2000, and I wondered if there was any event like that in around 2000 or that you know about.
Right, he did ask him that question. Yeah.
What was going on in 2000 in Stevens' 85 conviction?
Well, he'd been denied. Remember, they had tested the fingernail scrapings, and Hazelwood denied him because they couldn't. I don't know, whatever the DNA they said couldn't exclude Stephen. He could have still been there just because it didn't show. There was foreign DNA there, and it didn't belong to Avery. It didn't belong to Finney.
Right. They said it could belong to the EMS. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
So was that in 2000?
No, it was like 97 or 98, maybe somewhere. Okay. It was the end of the 90s.
Yeah, that's a good catch, Cherie. I wonder what was going on. Because see, I was just thinking, Wisconsin is not that big of a state, right? So people who are working for the project, how does Fallon say it? Project Innocence, right? Instead of Project Innocence.
Yeah.
So the people who are working, advocating for inmates they believe are wrongfully convicted, they have to have some sort of a network, because it's definitely an us versus them. So Randall Matea had been, I think he was convicted in 97, 96. Let's see, Pam was murdered in 94. It took him a year to arrest him, 95. I think he was convicted in 96. So I wonder, and they had to, I'm sure he had already contacted them, letting them know. I was set up and blah, blah, blah. And Kasurik would have been a red flag for anybody that knew Stephen's case. So it makes me curious if they weren't going to try and get him out of prison. Oh, you know what else happened to Ricky Hotstetler was killed in 99 too.
99, yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if they weren't going to try and get him out as well. Now, I know on paper, if you look at that case, Mateo looks like he killed her. But when you start looking for any kind of hardcore proof that he murdered her, all you find is a lot of what in the heck? How did
Yeah.
this happen?
Yeah,
It
was all circumstantial, as I remember.
this was a, like Teresa's crime. This was a very brutal, bloody crime scene. They claim he did it in his vehicle, yet there was not one speck of her blood found, and there was none of his DNA found on her.
Yeah, there you go.
Travis has got a few comments in chat, Jack. Oh, T1's joined us as well. Hi, T1. Travis says, so MTSO gave interviews with no prep, no lawyers, and their frame of reference. And I say, wait, you are missing the point. It's not that Stephen did or didn't have inappropriate contact with Marie. The point is they had something to work with to charge him with serious crime. They didn't need to come up with a dead body.
The problem with that, Travis, is that Marie wouldn't cooperate. So unless they were going to kill her and frame Stephen for it, that wouldn't have worked, because she did not ever say she had a sexual relationship with him, much less that he sexually assaulted her.
No,
This
I think this is candy driven. I've said that for a long time.
Yeah.
And that would not have gotten him life without parole.
No. And that was what Kasurik wanted more than anything. He gets a deep rooted sense of satisfaction by stealing Stephen Avery's freedom. Like, that is I know it sounds weird because I don't know the man, but I'm telling you, there's sheriffs like that here in Florida that they think they have the right to choose who can walk around in society and who can't. And he thinks Stephen Avery isn't fit to be in the public, that he's a nothing, and he should go to prison.
Well,
Travis, sorry, Jack. Travis says, so Marie gave a statement that Stephen forced her to have sex, and they are scared to death of this lawsuit. So they don't charge him with forcible rape. They decide, no, let either murder someone, wait for a murder that we can pin DNA. They could have found DNA related to Marie as easily as they could, easier really, as the DNA in the RAV.
I don't think Marie gave a statement. Did she?
In the 2004, in the 2004 or it was 2004 investigation. Yeah.
But then she backed off on that, didn't she?
Yeah, because there's love letters between them. She wrote him love letters, and
yeah.
Wait a minute. So, wait. Wendy Baldwin. So this was a police report, not written in her handwriting, that she didn't sign, correct?
I don't remember seeing a report, anything that she signed, wrote out a statement and signed. I don't recall seeing that. No.
Yeah, no. So that tells me she didn't say it.
Well, I mean, I don't think it was Baldwin that talked to her in the 2004 investigation. I'm pretty sure it wasn't her. I can't remember the officer's name, but it was Calumet County that talked to her, that investigated it.
I can't believe that didn't break.
But you know,
Yeah, because
then
I
the
always found it weird that they had what was her name? Kayla write that awful spelling statement in her handwriting, right? It was like because they had finally gotten her to flip. They had it in her own words.
yeah.
And it's just so sad because you can see that she's, you know, she really, she was just manipulated.
Yeah, and she was much younger. She's just really a kid, and she got steamrolled. And of course, her mom. I'm sure she had her mom right in her neck all the time, right in her ear. I feel certain of that because she was going to get Stephen Avery for whatever, you know. But you know, that 2004 investigation, it's been a minute since I read that too. But then, you know, when they turned right around into middle of 2005 and Pagel sent Baldwin back after Marie again, man, it's like wow. But they still didn't charge him.
Mm-mm. I would love to interview Wendy Baldwin.
Well, that would be interesting if she would be
Yeah.
truthful.
Yeah.
No
Yeah,
kidding.
I mean, when it comes to Kayla as well, though, I mean, you've got to give that lassie credit. She was a 13, 12, 13, 14-year-old Wayne at the time.
Yeah, something like that.
And
I think
she
she
got
was about
on
14.
that stand. Yeah, but she got on that stand, Jack. Fair enough, she told fibs beforehand. But when it came to being on that stand, she told them that she lied.
Yeah.
And what she said wasn't true. Now that took balls to do that. You
Yeah,
know what I
it did.
mean? Being in an
It did.
intimidating place like a courtroom with all the family there, Teresa's family there, all the
Well,
lawyers, a
and you got
judge sitting there with
you
a
got
gown and that
you got
on,
that you
you
got a
know?
dick like Fallon. He was a dick to her.
Yeah, yeah. But she stood up there, she sat up there and she said she was sorry and that she lied because she felt under pressure. Now that took guts. So yeah, the Wayne lied and everything like that to begin with. But when the crunch came to the crunch, she told the truth. So I give the Wayne kudos for that. You know what I mean?
Well,
Because that took a lot
and
of balls to say that.
they twisted what she said too. They turned it to use so they could use something against Brendan. They twisted all
Yeah,
that shit badly.
yeah.
So, alrighty. Yeah, we're 9:45. We're heading into 10 o'clock. Let's wrap this up. Just quickly. Anyone got anything going on this week? Alice, anything on Luke and Jody?
Not that I know, not that I'm planning. I mean, it could be just a spontaneous thing if it happens.
Sure.
I want to go over some of the articles and that have came out lately about the destruction of evidence. Professor David Wilson, who is a well-known criminologist here in the UK. He's done loads of documentaries, loads of films, everything like that. I mean, he is really well known. And he's basically wrote an article and came out and said he doesn't even understand why Luke Mitchell was even charged, never mind going to court, you know. And
Right.
he knows his stuff. So if somebody as prominent as that is coming out in Luke's defence, then I think it needs to be shouted about and I think it needs to be spoke about and everything like that, you know. So
Well,
I kind of want to
yeah. Let us know. I mean, and if you're gonna do something spontaneous, live or whatever, let's get it posted. So, you know.
yeah, yeah. So nothing planned so far, but that's not to say nothing might not happen. So, but thanks to everyone in chat. Thanks to everyone on panel. It's been great. Thank you.
Absolutely. Sheree, I know Rhonda had to take off. I know that we're going back into on Thursday, going back into another aspect of Daniel's case. Do you remember where we left off?
Still, I think they did the timeline last time. They might be doing more of Jamie Liggins.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
sure. Either that or going on to Sherry Ellis. I think she's the next accuser.
Yeah. Okay. That's Thursday at 5 o'clock on Rhonda's channel, and I also stream at the same time on the Foul Play channel. So please, if you want to help support Daniel and learn about the horrible case, then I think it's generally at 5 p.m. Central. So that's Thursday, and
Yeah.
then nevertheless, of course, we're going to be continuing on Saturday with reading with the crew. In this we're kind of a little bit off the track of the dogs, but it still pertains. There's so much in there that's come out.
And this will actually help because we talked about the 85 case
Yeah, that's right.
yesterday, so this is perfect timing.
Absolutely. Yep, and
Yeah, thank you.
Yep, absolutely. And that's kind of the reason I wanted to do the deposition, because this is it's into the 85 case, so absolutely.
Yeah, and for
And
everybody in the chat, it started off slow with like, okay, do you have the files, the boxes, the boxes? But it got really good at the end. So thank you for your patience.
absolutely. Some of these are a little difficult to get through, but because it's almost like they're talking about how something works and what really something about the case and what happened. We
Like
do
for
appreciate that.
surgical precision, everybody's so cautious and careful. It's like a
Yeah,
laser cut. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
just quickly, Jack, I just want to address something Anthony Hills has said. But so did Brendan. Yes, Anthony, Brendan did. Brendan had the balls to stand up or sit up in that courtroom and say that everything he said in his confession was lies.
Yep.
And everything like that. And that was brave for him to do as well, considering they were trying to pin a murder on him. And his lawyers were shit at the beginning and everything like that as well. That way never had it fair. So for him to go up there and take the witness stand when he didn't have to take the witness stand, he said, no, I never done it. I'm going up there and I'm telling my side. And he did. And
Yep.
by God, that was brave, that was bold, and he had some set of balls on him that day when he done that. And I applaud him as well.
Absolutely. Well said. That's right. So, all right. Christina, have you got anything before we take off out of here? She must have stepped away. All righty. I'm going to end this one here. And again, I want to thank the readers for helping me get these read and memorialized. The great conversation. Travis, so much appreciation for you coming with your legal mind and your lawyer approach to this stuff. It really helps us to keeps us honest. Good questions, good conversation. And with that said, I will say this has been a Foul Play production.